Chapter 4766. Lu Yan shook her head. I've seen the real-time footage. Hades Mountain is reserved by the Bai family and is not open to the public. Also, there's only one path up the mountain. Is that path very steep? Lai was curious. No, an expert has set up an 8 trigrams array at the entrance. Ordinary people can't break the needles and can't enter. Hearing Lu Yan's words, both of them were shocked. Jinju didn't understand this because he didn't understand Chinese culture. Lai, on the other hand, knew a little. Damn. 5 elements and 8 trigrams. Are you serious? When have I ever lied to you? Lu Yan smiled. What era are we in? 5 elements and 8 trigrams. That's ridiculous. Technology is so advanced now. Can't we just blow it up with a miniature bomb? Lai was right. Technology was so advanced now. It wasn't ancient times. Who would use Chimen Dun Jia, 5 elements and 8 trigrams? It was too ridiculous. They have an array at each entrance. How many bombs do you think you can use? Are you going to blow up Hades Mountain? Do you believe that the Chinese police will shoot you in minutes? An array at each entrance. That's insane. Lai was dumbfounded. That's why the Bai family is not simple. This young Master Bai is even more so. Forget it, let's not waste time. I'll go meet him. Lu Yan threw the umbrella in her hand behind her back, and Lai caught it immediately. Then, Lu Yan walked towards a silk shop on the side of the road. Lu Yan went in wearing a black windbreaker. When she came out, she changed into a light blue qipao. Her 2 subordinates' jaws dropped. Their boss's figure and looks were matched with such a graceful Chinese qipao. She was almost like a fairy descending to the mortal world. Boss. Are you going to seduce him? Lai smiled. Lu Yan didn't say anything. You 2 idiots go back and wait for my news. Boss, we'll go with you. Why do you want to go with me? To travel. Lu Yan rolled her eyes. The 2 didn't dare to say anything. Ever since they followed Lu Yan, they knew that their boss always did the dangerous things herself. She left the simple and easy things to them. It was the opposite of other bosses. In other families, the bosses were afraid of death and didn't dare to do it themselves. That was why Lu Yan could make her subordinates obey her. Why are you still worried about me? Lu Yan didn't want them to worry, so she smiled. No, we're afraid that boss will kill someone in such a pretty dress. Her dress will be dirty. Lai said. Lu Yan laughed even harder. It's okay. I'll just take it as buying a red cheongsam. Then, Lu Yan snatched the transparent umbrella from Lai's hand and got into a taxi, heading toward Hades Mountain. He watched as the taxi drove away. The 2 of them didn't say anything. They listened to their boss and returned to the safe zone to wait for news. The cheongsam Lu Yan had chosen was short, and her fair thighs were exposed. She wasn't wearing stockings. Coupled with her stunning face, she was extremely alluring. Hence, the moment she got into the car, the driver stared straight at her legs. Have you seen enough? Let's go, Lu Yan said calmly. Hee hee. Beauty, where are you going? Abyssal Mountain. Oh, it's very far from there. It'll take more than an hour, and it's not easy to walk in the rain. Cut the crap. Are you going or not? Yes. Hee hee. Let's go. It's not easy to get such a beautiful girl. How can I not go? The driver smiled lewdly. He was a man in his late 20s with a square head and shifty-eyed eyes. One look and you could tell that he wasn't a good person. But Lu Yan didn't care because she was Lu Yan. Chapter 4767. Lu Yan didn't know if she did it on purpose or not, but she sat in the passenger seat. This way, she was closer to that person, and the temptation seemed to be greater. The red taxi was very old. The driver was good at driving, but he was a little unstable. He changed lanes and cut in front of others. It was obvious that he wasn't a good driver. The car gradually drove out of the city and headed towards Hades Mountain. In fact, Hades Mountain's original name wasn't Hades Mountain, but Hades Mountain. Later, maybe because it sounded like a homonym, people called it Hades Mountain. "Beauty, what are you going to Hades Mountain for?" On the way, the driver teased her. "To kill people." Lu Yan answered with a smile. "Ha ha ha, you're funny. You're very humorous." The driver laughed. Lu Yan pursed her lips and didn't say anything. "But sis, don't say I didn't warn you. Hades Mountain isn't a tourist attraction. You're obviously a tourist, right? If you want to go to a scenic spot, why don't I take you to Moon Bay 50 miles away? What do you think? The scenery there is beautiful. Hades Mountain is a private mansion, the territory of the local rich by family. It's not open to the public. Even if you get there, you can only take photos at the foot of the mountain and can't go up. What's the point?" The driver seemed to be trying to persuade her to change the location. "I'll take photos at the foot of the mountain," Lu Yan answered patiently. "You're quite stubborn, huh?" As the driver spoke, he didn't forget to look at her with shifty eyes. The weather wasn't good, and the rain was getting heavier. Halfway through, the heavy rain blurred their vision. "Sis. You can't drive anyway. Why don't we find a place to hide from the rain? We'll leave later." "Okay." Lu Yan nodded. Then, the driver made a sharp turn and parked the car in the wilderness. This was really the wilderness. It was a mountainous area, and they walked on the mountain roads. The mountains were connected. If the weather was good, they could see some cars coming and going. But when it rained, there were almost no cows or sheep. After parking the car, the driver couldn't wait and was ready to make a move. While Lu Yan wasn't paying attention, he carefully hid the dagger he had prepared in the car in his hand. Then, his other hand touched Lu Yan's thigh. He even smiled wickedly. "Sister, the weather is perfect for the occasion. Why don't we have some fun first?" Before her hand could touch Lu Yan, she blocked it with her umbrella. She smiled slightly at the driver. "How do you want to have fun?" When the driver saw that this beauty's attitude was so good, it seemed that he didn't need to kill anyone today. He was ecstatic. "Sis. I'm not that old either. I'm only 28, and I don't have a girlfriend yet. Why don't we get married first? Of course, if you don't want to, we can just do it once. I won't sleep with you for nothing. You're so beautiful, I'll pay you 500 yuan. The driver was quite generous and offered a price of 500 yuan. Lu Yan looked out of the window. It was raining cats and dogs, and they had nowhere to go. He might as well play a game of cat and mouse with this driver. Lu Yan smiled. "Isn't 500 yuan too little? If you serve me well, 1,000 is fine too. Really, I have 1,200 in my car. I'll give it all to you. Is that okay? Let's have some fun." The driver was so lustful that he almost went crazy. "Okay. Then I'll have some fun with you." Lu Yan smiled like a blooming flower. Chapter 4768. The taxi driver almost went crazy when he heard the girl was so easy to talk to. He wanted to pounce on her like a hungry wolf. He reached out his big black hand and tried to touch Lu Yan's face. He reached for Lu Yan's face, but before he could touch her face, he heard a crack and his wrist was broken. Crack. It wasn't the sound of special effects, it was the sound of a bone breaking. The taxi driver screamed in pain, his face turning pale instantly. How would he have thought that this delicate little lass in front of him would be so ruthless in her actions? He didn't even see how she did it. Her speed was so fast that he didn't know what to do. Little bitch. How dare you hurt me? I'm going to cut you into pieces today. After Lu Yan broke his wrist, the taxi driver was furious. At this moment, he wanted to kill her. He used his other hand to stab at Lu Yan's neck with the dagger. But this time, before his dagger touched Lu Yan, he heard a muffled sound. Lu Yan punched him in the chest. Lu Yan punched him with 60% of her strength. But who was she? She was Lu Yan the witch. Even 60% of her strength was enough to break someone's heart. The taxi driver immediately understood what it meant to break a rock in the chest. That seemingly soft punch, when it landed on his body, it felt as if it weighed 1,000 pounds. His hand that was holding the dagger suddenly lost its strength, and the dagger slipped out of the taxi. Then, the taxi driver spat out a mouthful of blood. Then, he felt an indescribable pain in his internal organs. He was no longer in the mood to curse Lu Yan because his words were muffled. How painful was it? Lu Yan smiled and bent down to pick up the dagger from the taxi. Then, she grabbed the taxi driver's hair with one hand and dragged him out of the taxi. Yes, Lu Yan was very violent. With just one hand, she could drag this man, who weighed about 170 to 80 kilograms, out like dragging a dog. It was still raining outside, but it wasn't as heavy as before. The rain fell and mixed with the blood on the man's body, filling the air with an unpleasant smell. How can a scumbag like you be a taxi driver? Lu Yan smiled in disdain and looked at the dagger in her hand. Carrying a dagger with you. Ready to attack passengers at any time. That man couldn't make any sound at this time. He was just lying in the muddy rainwater, screaming miserably. All right. Then today I will do a good deed on behalf of the heavens. So that you won't harm other girls in the future. Then, Lu Yan squatted down and grabbed his collar. A dagger pierced into his neck, where the aorta was located. Then, she suddenly pulled out her knife. Fresh blood spurted out like a fountain. If an ordinary girl were to see this scene, she would have been scared out of her wits. Only Lu Yan could remain calm in such a bloody scene. She wiped her hands with a handkerchief after the killing. Looking at the map, they were still some distance away from the Netherworld mountain. The driver was dead, and there was no one else around. Lu Yan shrugged. She had to do it herself. Lu Yan threw the body of the taxi driver into a pond on the side of the road to avoid unnecessary trouble. Before she left, she sprinkled the corpse melting powder. In less than an hour, this scumbag would not even have a corpse left. Then, she drove to a remote path at the foot of the Netherworld mountain. Then, she pushed the taxi into a cliff and watched it turn into a ball of fire. Then, Lu Yan opened her umbrella and walked up the mountain along the path. Chapter 4769. There were 3 doors in Hades Mountain, 1 main door and 2 side doors. However, no matter which door it was, they were all set up with 8 trigrams. Ordinary people couldn't enter at all. Lu Yan chose the most remote door because she didn't want the surveillance cameras to record how she came in. She didn't want to attract attention either. She just wanted to break the array quietly, kill the target quietly, and leave. Killing people was as easy as breathing for Lu Yan. Not to mention someone like Bai Chang who didn't know any martial arts, even a former SEAL Special Forces soldier would be killed by her. Of course, other than her agility and fighting skills, Lu Yan also had a genius mind. She didn't know if she inherited her father's talent or her mother's greatness. In short, Lu Yan could develop all kinds of bombs when she was a child. By the time she was 10 years old, she could already develop some complicated weapons. Many of the weapons in her arsenal had been modified by her to be more powerful. Therefore, when she looked through the target's information and knew that the young master of the Bai family was a weak young man, it was even easier. However, Lu Yan wasn't someone who would underestimate her enemy. Because of the 8 trigrams at the entrance, she felt that this trip might not be as simple as it seemed. Therefore, she didn't let Ah Lai and Jin Ju come. Just as Lu Yan was thinking about this, she arrived at the 8 trigrams array at the side door in the blink of an eye. There were 9 old locust trees planted around this place, forming a round open space in the middle. At first glance, it looked quite ordinary, similar to the entrances of many scenic spots in China. However, Lu Yan wasn't careless. She turned on her watch and pulled out a virtual compass. Then, she began the test. 6 seconds later, the virtual compass prompted. Lu Yan glanced at it and then smiled slightly. The Big Dipper array. Amazing. The Bai family even brought out a long-lost array. Interesting. Really interesting. Lu Yan put away the compass and began to walk according to the steps to break the array. Although she was already familiar with the steps to break the array, she still walked carefully. Speaking of which, Lu Yan was quite knowledgeable, even though her father wasn't by her side when she was young. However, Lu Yan had taught herself a lot of things. She remembered that when she was 12 years old, she was interested in the 5 elements and 8 trigrams. Then, she traveled all over Mount Wutai, Mount Jiuhua, Zhongnan Mountain. Mount Amei, she had been looking for experts, wanting to learn a thing or two. Later on, Lu Yan quietly broke the Big Dipper array and became the first guest to successfully break the array and visit Hades Mountain. Inside the hilltop manor, young master, someone has barged in from the northeast side door. A lame man stood at the side and spoke to a man in a white robe. The man picked up a chess piece and gently pushed it forward. The man didn't say anything, nor did he react. It's a woman, a young woman. She broke our Big Dipper formation. Young master, do you want us to kill her now? Before Cripple could finish his words, the man in white waved his hand as if disagreeing with his suggestion. Young master, the person who broke into this place has a clear goal. You will be in danger. The man didn't say anything. He just continued to play chess quietly. After a game of chess, he waved his hand, indicating for the cripple to leave. Cripple had followed Bai Chang for 7 to 8 years, and the relationship between master and servant was very deep. Other than the fact that Bai Clan's young master didn't speak much and had a cold personality, everything else was very good. He was quiet, had a gentle appearance, and didn't cause trouble. He was never picky about food and accommodation. However, he didn't seem to have a good relationship with the old master. Of course, this might be the Bai clan's own secret history. The man was still sitting in the bamboo forest in front of the door, playing chess alone. When Lu Yan came in, the rain had stopped, but her cheongsam was wet and she threw away her umbrella. Therefore, when she first met Bai Chang, his white robe fluttered, while Lu Yan was in a mess. Chapter 4770. Do you have wine? I'm a little cold. Lu Yan leaned against a thick piece of bamboo. She smiled at the man she met for the first time and asked for wine. The man in white froze for a moment before smiling. Then, he picked up a pot of wine that he hadn't drunk yet and tossed it to her. It was a wine pot made of leather. When Lu Yan took it, she felt that the leather was very soft. It should be high-quality deer leather. Lu Yan took the wine pot and sniffed it. Good wine. I didn't come here for nothing. After saying that, she raised the wine jug and began to gulp it down. Then, she casually finished the entire pot of wine. She didn't leave any for the owner. Bai Chang sat there less than 5 meters away from Lu Yen. He looked at the disheveled girl in a cheongsam leaning against the bamboo forest and asking him for wine. Then, she didn't care if the wine was poisoned or not, she finished it in one gulp. This style of doing things was really strange. However, he liked it. This wine is really good. It's not available on the market. Did you make it yourself? She asked the man opposite her. The man nodded with a smile. Lu Yen suddenly remembered something and sighed. I forgot that you can't speak. The man didn't have any expression on his face. Instead, he pointed at the chessboard. He seemed to be asking Lu Yen if she wanted to play. Lu Yen glanced at the game in front of him. It was a chess game. She walked over with interest and sat down across from the man. Her long hair was still dripping with rain. Lu Yen looked down at the chessboard. The man took out a handkerchief from somewhere and raised his hand to help Lu Yen wipe the raindrops. Lu Yen didn't seem to feel anything. She didn't stop him or say anything. She just quietly watched the game. You set this up? The man nodded. If I break it, how will you reward me? Lu Yen looked into his eyes and smiled like a flower. Seeing Lu Yen smile, the man froze. Then, he raised his hand and made a eating gesture. Ha! Are you treating me to a meal? This is good. I like it. Then, Lu Yen picked up a chess piece and began to play the game with the man. The courtyard behind the man was filled with murderous intent. Cripple and 12 bodyguards were lying in ambush in the courtyard. Once they found out that this woman had any ulterior motives towards the young lord, they would immediately take action. If you look carefully, you will see that the lame man is holding an ancient bow and arrow, not a pistol. It could be seen that the Bai family was not a simple family. It only took Lu Yen 8 minutes to break Bai Shang's game. She even made a mistake in one of the steps, but she was rather shameless. When she realized that she had made a mistake, she immediately picked it up and started again. The man didn't know how to speak, so he didn't get angry and tell her that he had no regrets. Fortunately, Lu Yen really did break the trap. Since he was young, this was the first time someone had broken through his scheme. Bai Chang was very happy. He stood up and led Lu Yen inside. After taking a few steps, he suddenly thought of something and quickly turned around. He took off his white cloak and handed it to Lu Yen. Thank you. Lu Yen spoke in sign language. She knew that people who couldn't speak all knew sign language. Seeing Lu Yen's gesture, the man smiled and didn't say anything. Then, the man led Lu Yen all the way to the courtyard where they were eating. The Bai family servants had prepared a table full of delicious food. Lu Yen ate without a care in the world. Bai Shang sat across from her but didn't eat. Why aren't you eating? Did you poison it? Lu Yen asked him in sign language. Chapter 47-71. Bai Chang smiled and picked up his chopsticks as if to prove that he didn't poison her. He even deliberately picked up a piece of braised pork from Lu Yan's bowl with his chopsticks and chewed it carefully. Lu Yen froze. This guy's style was unspeakably weird. It was Lu Yan's first time here to kill someone, but she drank his wine and ate his meat first. After eating and drinking to her heart's content, she sat across from Bai Chang and sighed slightly. There's a Chinese saying that goes, if you take someone's gift, you'll be blinded. I've eaten your meat and drunk your wine. But do you know, I'm here today, to ask you for something. The man didn't react to Lu Yan's words, but the corners of his mouth curved up slightly. Lu Yan continued to sigh. Someone offered me a high price to take your organs. Are you willing to give them to me? The man didn't seem surprised, as if he knew the woman's purpose. Just as she finished asking, the cripple appeared out of nowhere. He surrounded Lu Yan with 10 experts. Lu Yan glanced at those people and continued to sigh. Your subordinates are no match for me. Do you believe that I can slaughter your entire manor alone? Lu Yan asked Bai Chang the same question as if Bai Chang would answer her. Young master, how is it? I told you, this woman's origin is unknown, and she broke our array, so she must be up to no good. You even entertained her with good food and drinks, but you don't know that she's a demoness who kills without batting an eye. Cripple hatefully said. Bai Chang still didn't speak. He slowly stood up. He turned around and took down another jar of wine from the wine cabinet. It was a very small, dark red jar. It was exquisitely made. He walked over with the wine jar and handed it to Lu Yan. For me. Lu Yan took it with a smile. Bai Chang nodded. Do you think I won't kill you just because you gave me a gift and treated me to a meal? Lu Yan asked directly. He smiled and didn't say anything. Then, he took out a green jade flute from his long sleeve. Then, he blew it at the bamboo forest not far away. At first, Lu Yan was quite cautious, thinking that it was some kind of hidden weapon. Or rather, there was something special about the flute sound. But after listening to a few lines, she realized that it was just a normal song. In fact, he didn't even sing it well. It was a very popular song from a wuxia drama, The Laughter of the Vast Sea. Obviously, he had just learned it not long ago, so some of the notes were intermittent and not very coherent. Lu Yan didn't know what to feel. It's just killing someone. Why do you have to drag it out? Wasn't it just killing a mute who couldn't speak? Was there a need to feel sad? Lu Yan raised her hand lazily and stretched. Then, he touched the steel wire lock on his back. This was something that could kill as soon as it saw blood. Although it looked like a thin and long thread, it could kill people without leaving a trace. Bai Chang, stop bragging. It doesn't sound good. She smiled and played with the wire lock with both hands. The man in white stopped playing the flute and smiled at Lu Yan. Bai Chang, someone offered me 500 million to buy your life. However, I heard that your family is very rich. Why don't you talk to your old man and give me 1 billion? I won't kill you, how about that? Before Bai Chang could speak, the cripple behind him was furious. Shameless boasting. Where did this ignorant girl come from? Do you think you can touch our young master alone? Then, he shot an arrow at Lu Yan. This arrow carried a strong murderous aura. The black arrow flew towards Lu Yan's forehead mercilessly. Chapter 4772. In fact, even if the arrow rain was 10 times stronger than this, Lu Yan could still catch it with her bare hands. After all, her vision was as good as a top-notch sniper's. Even the slightest movement couldn't escape her eyes. However, she didn't expect that someone would block the cripple's fatal arrow for her. And it was, she only remembered that in the blink of an eye, a white figure gracefully stood in front of her. He took the arrow rain head-on. Then, he didn't even make a sound, nor did he fall to the ground. He just stood in front of her with his hands spread out. It was as if he was protecting her. Young master, the cripple called out, young master, first. The bodyguards behind him were also stunned and cried out in pain. The cripple's arrow was 100% powerful, and it was meant to kill Lu Yan. However, this arrow was blocked by Bai Chang, and the scene became even more interesting. Lu Yan frowned slightly, her expression cold. You brat, you're so young, but you're good at playing the trick of injuring yourself. When the cripple heard this, he was furious. He pointed at Lu Yan's nose and scolded, "You're so vicious. Not only are you not grateful that my young master blocked this fatal arrow for you, but you're even making sarcastic remarks here. What are you up to? Lu Yen chuckled. Let me correct you. He did block the arrow for me, but it wasn't a fatal arrow. With your mediocre skills, you really can't kill me. Lu Yan's arrogance was rare in the world. Someone once said that Su Yu was a man who wasn't afraid of anything and was extremely arrogant. He wanted to let the whole world know that he was the best. However, Su Yu's arrogance couldn't compare to Lu Yan's. Su Yu was flamboyant and high-profile. Lu Yan, on the other hand, was arrogant with her unique skills and looked at everyone with disdain. In fact, she didn't even care about her own life. Therefore, every mission and every battle was as if her life was on the line. Therefore, no one could defeat Lu Yan like this. It was simply impossible. This was also why Ian cherished talent so much and didn't really want to kill Lu Yan. Instead, he wanted Lu Yan to be with him. It could even be said that he liked Lu Yan from the bottom of his heart. Who wouldn't love such a frivolous and beautiful woman? I won't be merciful this time. Even if you die 100 times, it won't be enough. Hearing Lu Yan's words, the cripple was furious. He couldn't wait to tear her apart and skin her alive. Therefore, he prepared to continue shooting. However, the injured Bai Shang raised his hand and gave him a command to stop attacking. Cripple was indignant. He looked at the young master and said, "Young master, this woman wants your life. Why did you save her?" Lu Yan quietly watched Bai Chang talk to the cripple with sign language. His actions and silent words made Lu Yan feel a little uncomfortable. Bai Chang told his subordinates, "My life is worthless after all. Even if I die, it doesn't make a difference. You don't have to waste your energy to save me. After I die, you're not allowed to find trouble with this girl. After you send her down the mountain, inform my father of my death." "Young master, why are you doing this?" Cripple put down his weapon and rushed over. He supported Bai Shang, who was already on the verge of collapsing. His young master was indeed tired of the world. He had been living in seclusion since he was young and didn't contact the outside world. Every day was a dull and uninteresting life. Perhaps, he really wanted to die. Seeing the man in white slowly fall, Cripple burst into tears. "Someone, call an ambulance and send the young master down the mountain." Cripple roared hoarsely. With her arms crossed, Lu Yan stood on the side and watched quietly. Then she said, "The arrow hit the main blood vessels around his heart. He'll stop breathing in 5 minutes. It'll be too late for him to go to the operating table, let alone go down the mountain. He'll die for sure." Chapter 47-73. The cripple was already furious, but when he heard Lu Yan's sarcastic words, he jumped up from the ground. Furious, he turned around and threw a right hook at Lu Yan. The cripple was tall and strong, and he looked like he had brute strength. Therefore, this punch was extremely fast, accurate, and ruthless. If it were someone else, he would have been knocked down with one punch. But he was facing Lu Yan, not someone else. She was a woman who even the world's #1 terrorist, Ian, had to be wary of. Lu Yan flashed past and grabbed the cripple's wrist. She counterattacked his armpit, but Lu Yan only used 30% of her strength. However, because the acupuncture point under his armpit was hit, the cripple felt half of his body go numb. He couldn't use any strength. "Someone, shoot this woman to death." The cripple fell to the ground and gave the order. The bodyguards behind him immediately took out their guns. Instantly, more than a dozen pistols were aimed at Lu Yan's head. Logically speaking, this atmosphere should be very tense. However, Lu Yan was still calm. She looked at the man in white lying on the ground and smiled. "Do you want me to save you? But it's very expensive for me to save people. I'll charge you 100 million yuan first. How about that?" Then, Lu Yan winked playfully at Bai Shang, who was on the verge of death. Bai Shang looked at Lu Yan's face and smiled. Then, he raised his hand with difficulty and replied with sign language, "Let's try. I do have some money. I can pay you." Hearing this, Lu Yan walked toward Bai Chang. Then, she said as she walked, "If you don't want your young master to become a corpse in 5 minutes, don't move. I'm going to save him." Then, Lu Yan pulled Bai Shang up from the ground. Her actions were very rough. The people around them felt their hearts skip a beat. The cripple was about to flare up, but when he saw Lu Yan's murderous gaze, he didn't dare to move. That girl wasn't an ordinary person. Just now, his punch missed and he was counterattacked in the next second. The cripple knew that she had attacked the acupuncture point under his armpit. This woman was not simple. Young master was right. She could easily break the Big Dipper formation that the Bai family had spent so much effort on. Then, she could break the chess game that young master had studied since he was young. In the face of so many guns, she was able to remain calm and even smile. This woman was definitely not simple. At this moment, Cripple had to admit that he'd underestimated this little girl. It was true that the young master had been shot by an arrow, and it was also true that his life was in danger. Just as she said, it might be too late to find a car to send her down the mountain to the hospital. Then why not, let this woman have a try. When Lu Yan pulled Bai Chang up, she stuffed a pink pill into his mouth. Before anyone could react, Lu Yan dragged him into the house. Everyone was isolated outside. "I need half an hour for the surgery. No sound can disturb me, or your young master will die." That was what Lu Yan said before she entered the room. The most amazing thing was that no matter what this little girl said, they felt that they had to obey. Perhaps this was the charm of her personality. In the room, Lu Yan tossed Bai Chang onto the big bed. Then, she rudely took off his clothes, revealing his chest muscles. Ahem. I'm not taking advantage of you. I'm going to operate on you." Lu Yan was actually quite embarrassed. After all, she was looking at his chest muscles. Bai Chang still had a bit of consciousness left. He smiled at Lu Yan. "I need half an hour. The anesthetic I just gave you should take effect soon. But you'll still feel pain. Don't be afraid. Although my technique isn't very good, I should be able to pull you back from the gates of hell." Then, before the man could speak, Lu Yan took out a sharp dagger from behind her and cut open the man's chest. Chapter 47-74. Everyone knew that Lu Yan killed people without hesitation, but few knew that she could actually save people. She was the daughter of the genius Professor Lu and the medical doctor Linya. She had all the talents that Huamin had. She also had the experience and courage that Huamin didn't have. In other words, if it weren't for the environment, Lu Yan would be a very, very good doctor. When she was on a mission in Africa, she passed by a plague village. The elderly and children there all caught an infectious disease and died one by one. Lu Yan pitied the children and saved them regardless of the risk of being infected. She even brought them back to the island and developed a serum to cure them. Later, the children grew up on the island. Lu Yan didn't teach them how to kill people. However, she gave them the most ordinary life. Therefore, Lu Yan was compassionate. At least, she wasn't like Ian, who killed people without any guilt. Ian killed for pleasure, just for the pleasure of slaughtering. Lu Yan was forced to kill people since she was young. If she didn't kill people, she would be killed. So, in the long river of time when she was hunted down, she learned a lot of skills. She soaked the dagger she used to operate on Bai Chang with disinfectant. The operation went smoothly. Lu Yan connected the ruptured blood vessels with her skillful hands. Then, she sewed them up with the thread she brought with her. Although it was half an hour, it was actually only 21 minutes. After Lu Yen sewed up the last thread, she leaned over to see if the man was awake. Bai Chang opened his eyes without warning, startling Lu Yen. She quickly looked away and looked up. The operation was good. You're very lucky. Bai Chang gestured a thank you with his hand. Lu Yen laughed. You took the bullet for me. Why are you thanking me? Bai Chang didn't say anything. Suddenly, he thought of something and gestured with his hand. Are you tired? Do you want some tea? Lu Yen shook her head helplessly. I don't know what to say about you. You're smart, but you act like an idiot. You're dumb, but you survived the conflicts between the Bai family and grew up safely. You have your own land, the Big Dipper, 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 to protect you. What kind of person are you? Before meeting Bai Chang, Lu Yen had read that he was an orphan of the Bai family. The eccentric orphan of the Bai family, after coming into contact with Bai Chang, he realized that Bai Chang wasn't as reclusive as the rumors said. He would even smile and entertain her warmly. He would even play a rather unpleasant flute for her, just like a little kid. None of this was an act. Although Lu Yen was young, she had traveled all over the world and met all kinds of people. If it was a disguise, she would have seen through it on sight. If Bai Chang was really such a scheming man, then she wouldn't have needed to go through so much trouble to save him. The problem was that this man wasn't. He didn't play by the rules. That arrow just now could not be faked. If Lu Yen wasn't here and didn't save him in time, he would have died within 5 minutes. For a man who didn't care about his own life, it must be painful for him to live, right? At this thought, Lu Yen felt pity for him in the depths of her heart. However, she would never show it on her face. You just saved me, so I'm going to give you 100 million yuan. Bai Chang gestured with his hand. Lu Yen chuckled. Yes, but 100 million yuan is just the down payment. You can pay the rest later. Then help me up first. Bai Chang gestured at Lu Yen as if he was going to get something. Hey, little mute, do you really have 100 million yuan in cash? Are you hiding it in the wall? Lu Yen guessed, amused. Chapter 4775. Bai Chang didn't answer her. Instead, he stood up weakly and walked toward the dark bookcase in the bedroom. Then, he wobbled as he picked up a huge vase. Pointing at the vase, he handed it to Lu Yen and signed, "Can I pay off my debt?" Lu Yen almost laughed out loud. Pointing at the vase, she asked, "Blue and white porcelain?" Bai Chang nodded, afraid that Lu Yen wouldn't believe him. He gestured with his hands and said, "It was made at the end of the Ming dynasty. The current market price is more than 100 million yuan. Huh, you're really something. They all say that the Bai family is a treasure trove, but you can easily take out such a valuable item. No wonder you set up such a powerful array formation downstairs. Okay, this vase looks pretty, I'll take it. But it's too inconvenient to carry around. I'll find a buyer and sell it to you. So, I'll leave it with you for now. Don't lose it, okay?" Lu Yen was joking. She was already a world-class tycoon. Money was just a number to her, so she wasn't as greedy as the rumors said. She asked Bai Chang for a deposit just to tease him. She didn't expect him to take it seriously and give her a big vase. Hearing Lu Yan's words, Bai Chang nodded solemnly and put the vase back carefully. He turned around and smiled brightly at Lu Yen. That smile was very warm. He shouldn't be someone who didn't know how to talk. Lu Yen suddenly felt sad. Then, she turned around and said, "TSK TSK. I didn't kill you. I failed the mission. What should I do? I've never failed in my career. Am I going to ruin my reputation this time? I can get a refund for the money I took, but I'll go down in history as a mercenary. Ha! Hearing this, Bai Chong was silent for 5 seconds. Then, he walked over and gestured with his hands. You can kill me and report to your boss. Humph. If I really wanted to kill you, why would I save you? Do you think I have nothing better to do? Lu Yen smiled. I know who wants to kill me. It should be my third uncle who gave you the money, Bai Chong said. Lu Yen was silent. Although she never asked for information about her buyers, this mission was in South America. The man was an important member of the Bai family. As for why the uncle wanted to kill his nephew, Lu Yen didn't know much about it. Seeing that Lu Yen didn't respond, Bai Chong continued, you can take me to see my third uncle and hand me over to him. That'll count as completing the mission. Didn't I say that if you give me double the price, I'll let you go? I'll even help you kill your third uncle. Lu Yen chuckled. Bai Chong shook his head. To me, there's no difference between life and death. Third uncle is different. He might love this world more than I do, so it's better for me to die. There's something wrong with your Bai family. One wants to kill his own nephew, and the other is willing to die. I say, you're your father's only son. If you die, who's going to take care of him? How can those illegitimate children compare to you, the son of the first wife? In the end, it was Lu Yen who was trying to persuade Bai Chong. The reversal of roles was shocking. Bai Chong stared into Lu Yan's eyes and suddenly asked in sign language, do you know why I like you? After Lu Yen interpreted the sign language, her eyelids twitched. It was indeed her first time meeting Bai Chong. It was a bit abrupt to say that she liked him, but she also knew that this man didn't have to lie. Chapter 47-76. Seeing that Lu Yen didn't speak, Bai Chong continued to sign. I've been locked up here since I was a child. I'm used to this enclosed world. Other than the bodyguards in the Bai family, no one can break in. My world is black and white. So your arrival today broke everything. You're the first outsider to come to my world. You're so beautiful. You walked under the tree with a smile, played chess with me, listened to me play the flute, and lit up my entire world. At that time, I thought, even if you're here to kill me, I'm willing to die in your hands. Otherwise, even if I live in the future, it's no different from being dead. Thank you, little Lu. Different from others, most people called her Yen, and those who were close to her called her Yen. But Bai Chong called him little Lu, which made Lu Yan's heart ache a little. She couldn't describe her feelings, she just felt that the man in front of her was extremely pitiful. Why are you doing this? I'm here to kill you. Lu Yen turned her head and didn't look at Bai Chang's clear eyes. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe God sent you to relieve me, Bai Chong said. He clutched his chest. Although Lu Yen had done a delicate operation and the wound was small, Bai Chong still felt weak. Forget it. It's boring. This is probably the most boring mission I've done in years. The rain stopped. I'm leaving. Looking out the window, Lu Yen didn't want to stay any longer since the rain had stopped. She knew that she couldn't kill Bai Chong. Since she saved him, there was no reason for her to kill him again. So, according to the rules of the underworld, she had to return double the deposit to the buyer. So, not only did she not make any money from this deal, but she also lost a lot of money. Little Lu, seeing that Lu Yen was about to leave, Bai Chong opened his mouth. Although he didn't make a sound, he mouthed something. What? Lu Yen rolled her eyes and pretended to be very familiar with him. Can you eat before you leave? Bai Chang's eager eyes couldn't be faked. Lu Yan wanted to refuse, but in the end, she couldn't bear to. I'm very hungry. Hurry up and get someone to cook, she agreed. Seeing Lu Yan agree, Bai Chang was overjoyed. Ignoring his injuries, he pushed the door open and gave the order. Those subordinates saw that when their young master went in, he was already on the verge of death. Now, in less than an hour, when he came out, he was already glowing. He couldn't help but have a whole new level of respect for this woman. He thought to himself, how could this be a female assassin? This is Hua Tuo. Bai Chang was helped to the kitchen by Lu Yan. He prepared a table of dishes to entertain Lu Yan. Lu Yan walked out of the house to the bamboo forest and turned on the jammer. He blocked all the listening devices around him, then turned on his watch and dialed a number. Beep, beep, beep. After 3 seconds of ringing, a weathered voice answered the call. What is it, Yan? Dad, I have a professional question that I want to ask you. Go ahead. If a person wasn't born mute but was poisoned by someone, can they still be cured? Lu Yan asked. It depends on what kind of poison it is. His throat is purplish blue. I felt his pulse and found that it's extremely cold. He's been poisoned for a long time. I guess the poison is mixed with red fairy, Lu Yan said with a serious expression. She had noticed this detail when she was operating on Bai Chang. If you're sure it's red fairy, then it can be cured, the professor said. Lu Yan was delighted. How? The Qiao family has it. You can ask Fei for it, the professor said. Is it Qiao Fei's? Lu Yan was surprised but didn't say it out loud. Chapter 4777. Outsiders didn't know, but Lu Yan and her father did. The Qiao family was a Chinese-Russian arms manufacturer family. They lived in seclusion during World War II and had been in power for decades. Not only did they rely on the Qiao family's leadership, but they also had many secret weapons. The Qiao family had a medicinal wine that was said to be made with the bones of a rare white tiger from Siberia. Then, it was mixed with 49 rare herbs and was made with the Qiao family's own secret method. This wine had the effect of strengthening the body and bones. Only the direct family members could drink it once or twice a year. The professor's meaning was obvious. The tiger bone could suppress the red fairy's venom. If they could get the tiger bone wine, then Bai Chang's poison might be cured and he might be able to speak. Lu Yan wasn't a nosy person. In fact, whether Bai Chang could speak or not had nothing to do with her. But when she was in the operation, she was moved by compassion. So, she couldn't help but ask out of curiosity. She didn't expect to be asked. No matter what the Qiao family had, Qiao Fei would give it to her. But, was it worth it for her to do all this for a stranger? Okay. I got it. Then, Lu Yan was about to hang up. Yan. Ha. You're in China, the professor looked at the coordinates of the signal source and asked Lu Yan. Yes. She didn't deny it. Then, have you seen her? The professor's voice was trembling. Not yet. You didn't want me to go and cause trouble for her, right? Lu Yan was a bit lonely. She felt that she loved her sister very much. Although they had never met. Her sister didn't even know about her and her dad. But it didn't affect their love for her. She and her dad were in deep trouble and didn't want their sister to be like that. So, they would rather her be an ordinary person and live the most ordinary life. Okay. Don't go looking for her. She'll be like that for the rest of her life. It's good. We won't interfere. Then, the professor hung up. Lu Yan felt a bit sad. She was probably the only person in the world who knew where her biological sister was but couldn't reunite with her. At this thought, Lu Yan turned around and strode into the house. Is dinner ready? I won't wait for you if it's late. She acted like a princess. Bai Chang hurriedly came out. His immortal-like white clothes were also stained with the smell of smoke and fire. Do you like to eat bacon? He asked her in sign language. Anything is fine. As long as it's food. Lu Yan smiled casually. Then I'll make you a plate of bacon. Just wait for me for a while. Then, the man went into the kitchen again. 15 minutes later, 8 dishes were served. These were typical Jiangnan-style side dishes. They were all stir-fried. There were also fresh river prawns and white fish from Mount Hades. These were all made by our young master himself. Our young master is very good at cooking. You're in luck, Cripple said with a cold face. Lu Yan didn't even look up. I worked so hard to pull him back from the gates of hell. Shouldn't he cook for me? You really don't know what's good for you. Our young master took the arrow for you. Cripple was angry again. But I didn't ask him to do that. Lu Yan shook her head like a child. She was so angry that Cripple was about to have a heart attack. He was about to say something when Bai Chang waved his hand. Cripple swallowed the rest of his words. During dinner, Lu Yan looked at Bai Chang in front of Cripple and asked, Mute, if I can cure your voice and let you speak again, how will you repay me? Chapter 4778. Bai Chang didn't expect Lu Yan to say that, so he froze for a second. Lu Yan teased him, You're not thinking of giving yourself to me, are you? How dare you? Don't be rude to our young master. The cripple spoke up for his master in excitement. Lu Yan didn't even look up as she said viciously, Don't worry. You're all disabled people here. You're either mute or cripple. I'm really not interested in you. Don't flatter yourself. Lu Yan's words made the cripple so angry that he wanted to pull out his gun. Fortunately, Bai Chang responded in time. He gestured with his hands, If you can really cure my disease, I'll give you anything you want. As long as you want it, I'll give it to you. Lu Yan nodded in satisfaction. She liked the little mute's genteel look. Bai Chang blushed slightly at the thought of Lu Yan asking him to give himself to her. However, he lowered his head as if he was afraid that others would see him. The Jiangnan dishes were delicious, but Lu Yan wasn't used to them. Maybe it was because she went to the north a lot and liked the salty and spicy dishes. So, she only ate a little and was about to go down the mountain. Let's go. I won't stay here anymore after I'm full. Lu Yan waved her hand and stood up. The rain had stopped, but the mountain path was still muddy and difficult to walk on. After the rain, there would be cold wind blowing in the mountain. Bai Chang didn't say anything. He turned around and went into the house to take out his cloak. It was white but thicker. Lu Yan was wearing a seductive cheongsam. She looked sexy and disheveled, not suitable for this kind of weather. Lu Yan didn't refuse the cheongsam he handed over. Okay, I'll take it. Prepare your treasures. When I come back with the antidote, take out all your treasures. Otherwise, you won't be able to thank me enough for helping you get the antidote. I dare say that if it wasn't for me, no one in the world would be able to get the antidote, Lu Yan said proudly. Bai Chang only smiled slightly, but he didn't say anything. Just when everyone thought the girl was going to show off, Lu Yan flashed and disappeared into the mountain path. The cripple froze and was shocked. Good kung fu. Yes, it had been a long time since he saw someone move as nimbly as a swallow. He originally thought that the little lass only knew some martial arts, but he didn't expect that it would really be an eye-opener for him. A long time after Lu Yen left, Bai Chang stood in the yard and watched her disappear into the mountain path, unwilling to leave. "Young master, the weather has changed. It might rain soon. Let's go in," Cripple advised. Bai Chang remained motionless. Although he couldn't speak, his ears were sharp. Cripple knew that he didn't want to return. "Young master, forgive me for being blunt, but that little girl's words can't be trusted. She's probably bragging. The antidote that you need, old master has been spending a lot of money all these years. The Siberian white tiger is already extinct. Other than the Russian Chow family who has a stock of tiger bone wine, no one else has it. Who do you think the Russian Chow family is? Old master spent so much money and looked for so many people, but they couldn't get it. How could a little girl like her get it? So, let's not treat it seriously." The cripple's analysis made sense. Bai Chang's father knew what kind of poison his son had and what antidote he needed. However, over the years, he had used all kinds of methods but still couldn't get it. The last Siberian white tiger wine in the world was in the Chow family. But was the Chow family so easy to mess with? Chapter 4779. The old master of the Bai family once offered 1 billion yuan to buy it from the Chow family, but he was rejected. The Chow family even said that they wouldn't sell it even if it was 10 billion yuan. Some people who were close to the Bai family even suggested hiring mercenaries to enter Russia to rob it. However, those people died before they could enter the country. From then on, the Bai family didn't dare to provoke the Chow family anymore. Bai Chang's poison was also incurable. He was already disgusted with the world and was used to not being able to speak, so he didn't feel regretful. However, when Lu Yen barged into his silent world today, his heart seemed to come back to life. Not only did Bai Chang study in elementary school, but he also developed his own hacking skills. So, he knew Lu Yen. So, when no one in the courtyard knew who Lu Yen was, only Bai Chang called her Little Lu. Bai Chang had heard about the relationship between the Chow family and Lu Yen. Therefore, if anyone other than the Chow family could get the diluted and precious tiger bone wine, then, this person could only be Lu Yen. That was why Bai Chang was looking forward to it. Bai Chang wasn't looking forward to Lu Yen bringing back the antidote to cure his throat. Instead, he was looking forward to seeing Lu Yen again soon. In the evening, Lu Yen was already on a private jet heading to Russia. "Boss, the steak is ready. Are you very familiar with it?" Lu Yen asked mischievously. Yes. It's very hot." "I'm sure it's very familiar," Lai said with a smile. This time, Lu Yen only brought Lai and Jinju. Jinju wasn't good at talking, so Lai was the one who livened up the atmosphere. This kid was good at cooking, so Lu Yen could eat whatever she wanted. Taking the slightly charred steak, Lu Yen cut a small piece with satisfaction. Before she could eat, a message appeared on her watch. It showed that she had an extra sum of money in a Swiss bank account. The money was as high as 1 billion yuan. "Wow! Boss, you're rich. Didn't you say that the mission failed? Why is there so much money?" Lai glanced at it. In fact, he was already used to it. The money in his boss's account was basically just numbers. It wasn't a number that normal people were used to. It's not from the employer. Lu Yen seemed to know who sent it. If it's not the employer, then we have a new job. Lai scratched the back of his head. Why do you have so much crap to say? Seeing that his boss was angry, Lai immediately shut up and left. Lu Yen took a small bite of the steak and opened the virtual computer program on her watch. What was missing was the information on the auction house. As expected, at 2:00 in the afternoon, an antique belonging to the Bai family was auctioned off at a well-known auction house in the country. It was a fine jade guanine from the Tang dynasty. He didn't need to check to know that the seller was Bai Chang. She was just joking. In fact, she was not short of money. She was already very rich. However, Bai Chang still transferred the money to her. He didn't break his promise. After all, Lu Yan had let him go, and she had to pay for it. In this way, the debt was even. Lu Yan wasn't a charity and didn't need to spend her own money to help others. At this thought, Lu Yan shook her head and smiled. This little mute is quite sensible. Then, Lu Yan finished the steak like a whirlwind and leaned lazily on the sofa with her legs crossed. Then, he dialed a familiar number, Yen. Chow Fei's gentle voice came from the other end. Chapter 4780. Honey. I'm about to arrive in Russia. Are you surprised? Lu Yan was different from her usual self. She actually called Chow Fei honey. Logically speaking, Chow Fei should be happy and flattered by her enthusiasm. But, Chow Fei, on the other hand, felt uneasy. Yen. Are you being hunted down again and have nowhere to go? Are you hiding at my house? No, it's been peaceful outside recently. Then did you lose money in Las Vegas? Pfft. Can you jinx it anymore? When have I not returned with a full load? Lu Yan almost laughed out of anger. There must be something wrong. You're so enthusiastic. It must be something bad. Why don't you come, just return, Lu Yan, damn it. Try not to come out and pick me up. Anyway, we'll land in 2 hours. I have to see you at the airport, and I have to be holding my favorite Russian bread. Then, Lu Yan hung up the phone. On the other end of the phone, Chow Fei reached out and touched his silver hair. Then, he smiled gently. Then, he stood up and walked out of his mysterious private contractor. Young Master Chow, are you going out? Yes. If you need anything, just tell me. I'm going to buy bread, Chow Fei said. It's just a small matter. Leave it to me, no need. The people around Chow Fei also served him carefully. Everyone knew that in the entire Chow family, the patriarch doted on this third young master the most. Although he had a fiancée who gave the whole world a headache, it still couldn't stop everyone from liking the third young master. Chow Fei was the kind of person who lived in a two-dimensional world. Silver hair, Russian military uniform, and a cold personality. He was the epitome of true love in the hearts of young girls. However, such an outstanding person was always at Lu Yan's beck and call. She didn't take her fiancé seriously at all. In Professor Lu's words, Yen would always think of Fei when she was in trouble. So, without a doubt, she didn't come this time because she missed him. She must be in trouble. However, in Chow Fei's opinion, it didn't matter. As long as Lu Yan came to see him, no matter what the reason was, he was happy. In fact, Lu Yan didn't like entering Russia at all. Over the years, the number of times she had entered the country could be counted on one hand. Even then, she had gone to Spain to watch football matches. 2 hours later Lu Yan's private jet landed. Due to the low temperature in Russia all year round, there weren't many opportunities to wear sexy gowns. Therefore, Lu Yan only wore a black windbreaker, which was her standard outfit. She was wearing small boots with square heels, and her long hair was let down. She wore a black beret on her head and carried a luxurious red bag in her hand. Lu Yan was dressed like a socialite. It attracted a lot of attention. She was actually the best at disguising herself. She always looked harmless. But it always gave people a terrifying taste. As soon as she walked out of the airport, she saw Xiao Fei standing in front of a black Mercedes-Benz RV with a big loaf of bread in his arms. Lu Yan chuckled. Then, he dashed over and snatched the bread. Without caring about her image, she went up and took a bite. Yummy, it still tastes the same. Why are you closer to bread than to me? Xiao Fei was a little jealous. I can eat bread, but can you? Lu Yan retorted. Chapter 4781. It's not like you haven't tasted it before. Xiao Fei's words made Lu Yan's subordinate blush. He thought to himself that his boss had already been punished by young Master Qiao on the spot. Bullshit. Don't talk nonsense. Russia is so cold. Hurry up and help me into the car. Seeing Xiao Fei acting like a pervert, Lu Yan didn't want to continue arguing with him. She hugged the bread tightly and got into the RV. Lu Yan was treated like a queen in Russia. Young Master Qiao helped her into the car personally. Of course, this was only special treatment for Lu Yan. After all, Xiao Fei liked her. He had liked her since he was young. After entering the RV, Lu Yan's subordinate ran to the front row and closed the door. He gave the two people on the sofa a private space. Lu Yan took off her windbreaker in front of Xiao Fei. Inside, she only wore a simple white short-sleeved shirt. Before Xiao Fei could say anything, she began to eat the bread. Yan. Yeah. Did you really come here, because you miss me? Why else? What do you want? Just tell me. Otherwise, I'll be worried. Xiao Fei was on tenterhooks. Lu Yan put down the bread and laughed. You're afraid that I'll cause trouble and want to help me clean up the mess, right? Xiao Fei nodded obediently. When Lu Yan came to Russia before, the Qiao family welcomed her warmly, thinking that she would be their future daughter-in-law. Later, they found that every time Lu Yan came, Moscow would be in chaos. It was a headache. So, gradually, everyone knew that Lu Yan wouldn't come for no reason. She would definitely cause trouble if she came. In the words of the elders of the Qiao family, Lu Yan, this little girl, caused chaos wherever she went. So, such a troublemaker was no longer welcomed. Of course, only Xiao Fei liked it. Even if Lu Yan didn't come, Xiao Fei was going to look for her. If they didn't see each other for a month or two, young Master Qiao would feel uneasy as if something was missing. Hearing Xiao Fei's words, Lu Yan smiled. Then, she patted his shoulder. Honey, don't be afraid. This time, I won't fight or cause trouble. Now that you mention it, I'm even more scared. Xiao Fei didn't believe that she would be so obedient. It's true. Actually, I'm only here to ask you for something. It's very simple. I won't hurt anyone or cause trouble. Hearing Lu Yan's request, Xiao Fei felt even more uneasy. What could I possibly have that you, Queen Lu, would fancy? Xiao Fei was right. Lu Yan had money, manpower, and even the most powerful weapons of the Qiao family. Lu Yan had them too. She could even develop and modify them herself, so she didn't care about the firearms they were selling. Therefore, Xiao Fei still had a vague sense of foreboding. Lu Yan licked her lips and put her arms around his neck with a seductive smile. You're trying to seduce us, aren't you? Although he pretended to be calm, Xiao Fei's heart was thumping wildly. After all, Lu Yan rarely acted like a spoiled child in front of him. It seemed like she really needed his help this time. Fei. I need a cup of your Qiao family's secret tiger bone wine. Lu Yan purposely lowered her voice because she didn't want others to hear. After all, if this wasn't done well, it would cause a dispute within the Chow family and put Chow Fei in an awkward position. As expected, Chow Fei's expression changed when he heard that she wanted tiger bone wine. Why do you need tiger bone wine? Are you poisoned? Then, Chow Fei couldn't wait to check Lu Yan's pulse. Chapter 4782. It's not me, it's a friend of mine, Lu Yan said directly. That won't do. Lu Yan didn't give him face and refused directly. Hey, why are you so unreasonable? We've been friends for so many years, but you think a glass of wine is worth more than our friendship? Lu Yan pouted. Chow Fei looked at her with a complicated expression. Yan, let me put it this way. If you were the one who got poisoned today, I'd get you a glass of wine even if I had to betray my family and go against my family. But other than you, I wouldn't touch the tiger bone wine. You're so stingy. Lu Yan pretended to be angry. She turned her head and crossed her arms over her chest. Seeing Lu Yan angry, Chow Fei's heart ached. He turned her over and patiently explained, Little Yan, you're the most well-informed. You should know that the Siberian tiger is extinct here. It's a rare animal, so it's impossible for anyone in the world to recreate tiger bone wine. But your Chow family has some in stock, Lu Yan retorted. Chow Fei nodded. Our Chow family has some in stock, but we've used a lot over the years. In the past, I could still drink a little during the Qing festival, but now my father has made a rule that even the men in the Chow family can only drink it once every 3 years. Usually, it's kept in our family's secret room, guarded by guards. Only my father can enter the secret room. It's just some lousy wine. Do you have to go through so much trouble? That's because the tiger bone wine can cure 36 deadly poisons. It can also improve blood circulation, remove blood stasis, and prolong life. It even has the effect of curing early-stage cancer cells. Over the years, my father has only given 1 glass of wine to an outsider, and that outsider was the former president of Russia. So, Yan, how do you think I can give such an important thing to your friend? Give me a reason. Chow Fei explained patiently, afraid that Lu Yan would be angry. With Lu Yan's short temper, once she got angry, she would fly away. Wouldn't that be a loss? She had just arrived and hadn't even warmed up her seat. Hearing this, Lu Yan took out a check from her bag and waved it elegantly. This is 1 billion yuan from an international bank. You can withdraw it at any time. Can I use 1 billion yuan to buy a cup from your Chow family? Chow Fei smiled bitterly. If we could sell it, we would have run out of stock a long time ago. You know, 2 years ago, a prince from a rich country in the Middle East was seriously ill and needed tiger bone wine to prolong his life. His father offered $10 billion. Lu Yan was slightly surprised. It turned out that someone was really generous. How much was $10 billion? That's more than 60 billion renminbi. But my father refused. Later, they sent mercenaries into the country to steal it. We even had a fierce battle. From then on, our families became enemies. If it were you, you might say, isn't it just a glass of wine? Just sell it to him. But there are so many people in the world. If you buy it and he buys it, how much will we have left in the end? What will we do when our families need it? Waiting for death. Upon hearing this, Lu Yan fell silent. What he said made sense, and Lu Yan understood it too well. In the face of life and death and health, money was nothing but a pile of white paper. But, Fei, I really want a glass of wine. I want to help my friend. Lu Yan leaned on his shoulder. This time, she wasn't seducing him. She truly felt that Chow Fei was in a difficult position. However, she didn't want to come here empty-handed. Thinking of the man who couldn't speak, Lu Yan still hoped that she could cure him and see him speak. Chapter 4783. The friend you're talking about is the young master of the Bai family, right? To her surprise, Xiao Fei guessed right. You did a background check on me. Lu Yan looked up at Xiao Fei, her face calm and unreadable. Xiao Fei put his arm around Lu Yan's waist. Of course I did. Didn't you go to China to carry out a mission? Every time you accept a mission, I know about it. Seeing that you didn't kill your target but instead came to me for tiger bone wine, I know that you're helping Bai Shang. Furthermore, his father once tried to buy it from me 10 years ago, but was rejected by my father. I know it's hard to get, or else I wouldn't have come to you, right? Fei, you won't let me come here for nothing, right? Xiao Fei didn't speak, he just looked at Lu Yan quietly for 5 seconds. Yan, if Bai Shang and I both needed the last glass of wine, who would you give it to? This guy didn't look like he was joking. Lu Yan chuckled. Damn it. Are you jealous? If I asked you for your most precious thing in order to save a woman, what would you think? I'd chop you into pieces and throw you into the toilet. What else would I think? Lu Yan answered without hesitation. Xiao Fei didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Okay, let's not talk about these gloomy things. You rarely come to Moscow, I'll take you home and let you rest. Take a hot shower and eat something. Xiao Fei didn't want to argue with Lu Yan about the tiger bone wine and Bai Shang. Xiao Fei wasn't an unconfident person, he knew that in a critical moment, all men were less important than her in Lu Yan's eyes. That was why he was the only one who knew all of Lu Yan's family secrets. Only he and the professor had been to Lu Yan's headquarters. He knew all of Lu Yan's subordinates and all of her savings. However, hearing that Lu Yan asked for tiger bone wine for a guy she didn't know, he couldn't help but feel a little uncomfortable. Lu Yan was smart, seeing that Xiao Fei didn't want to talk about it, she didn't press him. Instead, she smiled lightly. Okay, I'm smelly from the plane. I need to take a shower. The Mercedes-Benz RV escorted them to Xiao Fei's private castle. Lu Yan rushed into the luxurious bathroom and took a bath. When she came out, the housekeeper had prepared a new dress for her. It was a very pink princess dress, a classic retro Russian palace dress. Lu Yan looked like a rich lady from the 19th century. Xiao Fei had no taste when it came to dressing women up, but it wasn't his fault. After all, after his mother passed away, he never got close to women. After changing, Lu Yan walked into the living room. I'm hungry. I want to eat Russian skewers. Lu Yan ordered. Xiao Fei stood up. My father just sent someone to invite you to dinner. Can I not go? She felt bored when she heard that she was going to eat with a bunch of old men. Xiao Fei's father was an elder, and he couldn't go against him. If he didn't go, he wouldn't be giving him face. If you really don't want to go, I'll reject it for you. I'll take you out to eat. Xiao Fei didn't want to make things difficult for his sweetheart. If she really didn't want to, he would reject his father. Then your dad will be furious. Lu Yan licked her lips. It's better for my dad to be angry than my wife. Xiao Fei understood the situation very well. Lu Yan smiled slightly. Forget it. It's not easy for your dad at his age. If he loses face because of me, he'll be laughed at. After all, your dad is a famous arms dealer in Asia. Oh, your annoying second brother isn't home, right? I don't want to see him. The second brother Lu Yan was talking about was Chao Nan. Chapter 4784. After hearing Lu Yan's words, Xiao Fei replied calmly, "Unfortunately, he's here." Fuck. The word fuck came out of her mouth, and the rest of the words came from Lu Yan's mind. Qiao Nan was the most influential man in the Qiao family. He was despicable and cunning. He did things by hook or by crook, and the outside world had always thought that he was the most suitable heir to take over the Qiao family business. After all, Qiao Fei's older brother, Qiao Mo, was cold and rarely asked about family matters. Qiao Fei didn't care about anything outside. Other than Lu Yan, he didn't care about anyone else. Therefore, Qiao Nan had become more and more high profile in the past few years. In northern terms, he was too arrogant. Lu Yan had met Qiao Nan a few times, and it was a bad influence on the man. Of course, Lu Yan hated Qiao Nan more because of Qiao Fei. Qiao Nan had schemed against Qiao Fei more than once. Qiao Fei wasn't stupid. He just didn't want to fight with him and felt bored. "Why are you afraid of him? Eat your food," Qiao Fei persuaded. Lu Yan immediately rolled her eyes. "Afraid of him? You really think too highly of him." "I, Lu Yan, am afraid of him. I don't even care about Ian. Your second brother is nothing." "Then let's go. If we're late, those old men will nag again. It's so annoying." Qiao Fei hated those old men in the family who stuck to the old rules. They were called the elders of the Qiao family and the family head's confidants. In fact, it was already outdated. Other than his father who listened to them, in Qiao Fei's generation, none of the three brothers were willing to interact with the elders. Lu Yan could have refused such a dinner, but she didn't want to embarrass Qiao Fei's father. She braced herself and went, wearing the palace dress that Qiao Fei had prepared for her. She carried a small bag in her hand. At first glance, she looked like a top Russian socialite. But this wasn't Lu Yan's real face. When they arrived at the restaurant, Lu Yan held Qiao Fei's arm and walked in, giving young Master Qiao enough face. The two of them attracted everyone's attention as soon as they entered. "Young Master Qiao, Miss Lu." Those people greeted them one after another. When they were near the seats, Lu Yan smiled slightly and said to Qiao Fei's father, "Uncle Qiao." "Xiao Yan, long time no see. How have you been?" Qiao Fei's father greeted her with a smile. "Yes, very good. Take a seat. You must be tired and hungry from the long journey. Let's eat first." His father waved his hand, and Qiao Fei and Lu Yan sat down. Sitting on both sides were the 13 elders and Qiao Fei's second brother, Qiao Nan. There was also a woman sitting beside Qiao Fei's father. She looked to be in her 30s. Her appearance was not very beautiful, but her temperament was very good. She was fair and delicate. Lu Yan guessed that she was Qiao Fei's father's confidant. For the sake of the three brothers, she was not given an official status, but it was said that she had been with old Master Qiao for a while. "Little sister Yan, why didn't you tell me you were coming to Russia? I could have picked you up personally," said Qiao Nan. There was a playful smile on his face. As soon as he finished speaking, Qiao Fei shot him a cold glare. Lu Yan chuckled. "If I knew you were at home, I wouldn't have come even if I had the money." "Ha ha ha. Do you have to be so direct? You don't give me any face at all." Qiao Nan laughed frankly. "Why should I give you face? After all, I hate you so much." Lu Yan was still smiling when she said this. Although that scene could be said to be cheerful and witty, it was also extremely awkward. Qiao Fei's father coughed lightly. Chapter 4785. She interrupted Qiao Nan, not giving him a chance to continue teasing her. Yan, how's your father doing? Very well. Is he still in the States? To be honest, Uncle Chow, I don't know where my father is. I haven't contacted him for a while. You know we're both very busy. Lu Yan didn't like to reveal her father's whereabouts to anyone. After all, she might bring danger to her father if she wasn't careful. Chow Fei's father was asking this in front of so many people, so Lu Yan didn't feel comfortable. But after all, he was an elder, so she played with him. Chow Fei understood Lu Yan's meaning and didn't want his father to continue asking. So he interrupted, Dad, it's time to serve the dishes. Yan's hungry. Okay. Serve the dishes. Old Chow cared about Chow Fei's words and immediately ordered the servants to serve the dishes one after another. It wasn't a Russian meal. After all, they were all Chinese, so it was Chinese. There were more than 30 dishes on the long table. The dishes looked exquisite and should taste good, but Lu Yan didn't seem to have an appetite. What's wrong? You don't like it? Chow Fei whispered in Lu Yan's ear. No. Maybe I'm full from the bread, Lu Yan said. Chow Fei was exasperated. Can you be more mature? No. Lu Yan stuck out her tongue and made a face at Chow Fei. In other people's eyes, they were flirting, but Chow Nan, who was sitting across from them, felt stifled. He had never been convinced. When Professor Lu brought Lu Yan to the Chow family for the first time, all three of them were present. In terms of looks, Chow Fei wasn't as handsome as his older brother, Chow Mo. It was said that Chow Mo's looks made many princesses, socialites, and movie stars in Europe drool. In terms of talent, intelligence, and tactics, Chow Nan thought Chow Fei was inferior to him. So the question was, why did Lu Yan fall for him? At that time, he was even more eager to get close to Lu Yan than Chow Nan. He was nice to her and chased after her. His third brother, Chow Fei, was indifferent and didn't say anything, but Lu Yan chose him. The whole world knew that Lu Yan and Chow Fei were engaged when they were children. It was a lie to say that Chow Nan loved Lu Yan. He wanted to get Lu Yan because of Professor Lu's power and Lu Yan's power. First of all, Lu Yan was extremely wealthy. Just the money in a few Swiss bank accounts, if taken out, would easily surpass those on the Forbes list. In fact, Lu Yan's spies, subordinates, and equipment were all top-notch. Even sending an army to attack Lu Yan's base would take a lot of effort. Moreover, Lu Yan was said to be a genius in scientific research. She could create all kinds of powerful explosives and purify opium poppies. That was a high-tech technology that even the Golden Triangle research team could not develop. Therefore, whoever had Lu Yan would have everything. In the past, Chow Nan's ambition was to snatch the Chow family patriarch's position. But later on, this could no longer satisfy his ambition. After all, he wanted to be like Ian, to dominate the Darkness Empire and make a name for himself in the world. Lu Yan didn't eat much and only drank a few mouthfuls of champagne. During the banquet, an elderly elder mustered up his courage and suddenly said, Miss Lu, since you're our third young master's fiancée, you're not an outsider. There are some things that I'll be frank with you. Recently, we have a batch of firearms in our hands, but because of the large quantity and the large amount of money, we haven't been able to find a suitable buyer. I heard that Miss Lu has a lot of connections. Can you help us pull some strings so that this batch of goods won't cause our internal funds to run out? Chapter 4786. As soon as the elder finished speaking, the entire place fell silent. Chow Fei's father didn't have much of an expression on his face, nor did he have any intention of stopping the elder. Obviously, he knew about it. Perhaps he was the one who told the elder to say it. Otherwise, the elder wouldn't have dared to say it. Xiao Fei's eyes gradually turned cold. Our family's business has nothing to do with Yen. Xiao Fei said coldly. Third young master, I said that Miss Lu will be one of us from now on. We can also call her a young lady. So, our business is her business. I've heard that Miss Lu is very resourceful, has a lot of connections, and has a lot of connections. This small favor shouldn't be a big deal. That elder must have really drunk a lot, so he dared to talk back to Xiao Fei. Xiao Nan was amused when he heard this. Elder Qi is right. Since we're family, we should help. We can't just sit back and watch our goods not leave. At this moment, everyone looked at Lu Yan, who was silent. Lu Yan wasn't in a hurry to answer. She just slowly sipped on the champagne. She even commented, I've never liked champagne. I always think it's not as good as red wine. But your Russian champagne is different. The taste is strong, which suits my personality. When I leave, I want to take a box with me. Fei, are you willing to give it to me? Lu Yan tilted her head and looked at Xiao Fei coquettishly. Xiao Fei's eyes immediately softened. Is 10 boxes enough? Yes, yes, yes. You're the best. Lu Yan held Xiao Fei's face with both hands, showing off their love like a young couple. She didn't even look at the people around her as if they were decorations. Xiao Fei felt very guilty, feeling like he had been set up. If he had known that something like this would happen, even if his father was angry, he wouldn't have brought Yen here. He was sincere to Lu Yan. Even if she wasn't the king of mercenaries or the second young mistress, he would still love her to the point of death. So, when he saw his family use Lu Yan and put her in an embarrassing position, Xiao Fei felt a faint anger rising in his heart. He planned to take Lu Yan away without waiting for her to agree. Thinking this, he took Lu Yan's hand. Yan, let's go. His voice wasn't loud, and only Lu Yan could hear it. Lu Yan pushed his hand away with a smile. Then, he slowly got up and looked around. Finally, his eyes fell on Xiao Fei's father. Uncle Xiao, it's true that I'm Fei's fiancée, but I'm also a businesswoman. I don't do business at a loss. If you want to sell firearms, sure, I'll help you sell as many as you have. I have people who buy from all the warring countries. Syria, Palestine, Iraq. I can help you sell them all at a high price. But I've said it before, I'm a businesswoman, and even blood brothers have to settle accounts clearly. If you're willing to pay, I'll take this deal. Everyone was dumbfounded by Lu Yan's words. They didn't expect this little girl to be so daring. She worked for her future in-laws and still wanted to extort them. She was really brave. Xiao Fei's father was a big shot. After hearing Lu Yan's words, he only smiled and said, of course, even if we're family, we can't use them for free. Yan, just name a price. You don't have to sell all of them for me, just this batch will do. Originally, the Tea government ordered them and even paid the deposit, but due to the political situation, they didn't dare to take the goods. If they leave it with me, I won't be able to live peacefully. It's better to sell them early. The market price is $26 billion, then I'll sell them for $300. Not only will you not lose money, but you'll also earn some money for tea. Lu Yan was very generous. Yan, don't agree. Seeing Lu Yan being forced to sell the goods, Xiao Fei didn't feel good and wanted to stop her. Okay, Yan, how much do you want for your commission? Name a price. Xiao Fei's father was also very happy. He thought that with the relationship between Lu Yan and Xiao Fei, even if she wanted a commission, she wouldn't ask for too much. 5 seconds later, Lu Yan said something that shocked everyone. She said, "Uncle Chow, I don't want money. I just want a cup of your Chow family's tiger bone wine." Chapter 4787. Upon hearing the tiger bone wine, everyone's expression changed, including Chow Fei's father's. Of course, Lu Yen knew the consequences of her words. But who was Lu Yen? She wasn't even afraid of Ian. Why would she be afraid of these people? Chow Nan was the first to speak. He laughed. "Yen, you're good at doing business. Do you know that my father couldn't even sell one cup of tiger bone wine for 10 billion? Now that you're asking for a cup, it's no different from asking for 10 billion. Your commission is too high, we can't afford it. It's almost more expensive than our weapons." Chow Nan's tone was mocking, but it was true. Even if the Chow family couldn't produce the goods, they couldn't give Lu Yen a commission of 10 billion. If they did, they would lose everything. Lu Yen chuckled and replied, "But I don't want 10 billion, I just want a cup of wine." Then, Lu Yen didn't forget to add, "Plus, I'm not asking for it for free. I have work to do. It's not like I'm asking for it, right?" One couldn't hit a smiling person. If someone else had said this, the Chow family's old man would have been furious. What was tiger bone wine? It was something that couldn't be bought with money. But Lu Yen had always been a strange child. The old man knew a little about her, so he wasn't angry. He simply said, "Thank you for your kindness, Yen. We won't trouble you with that batch of goods." What did he mean? She didn't need to pay for the goods, and she couldn't ask for the tiger bone wine. She didn't say anything. Lu Yen smiled and didn't refute. After all, she was giving Chow Fei face. So, although the meal was full of tension, Lu Yen didn't lose her temper. After the meal, Lu Yen said she was sleepy. Chow Fei carried her out of the restaurant and returned to the private manor. Seeing that Chow Fei was so obedient to Lu Yen, the elders had many objections. "Mr. Family Head, the third young master is so obedient to that girl. This isn't a good thing." "Yeah, Mr. Family Head, I think that girl is very strange. Let the third young master find another fiancé. She's really not suitable for our Chow family. Lu Yan's character really needs to be tested." She asked for a commission just to help her fiancé's family and asked for tiger bone wine. "We can't afford to offend this girl." After Chow Fei left, everyone started talking at once, but they all came to the same conclusion. Chow Fei was too good to him. He was almost obedient. Chow Fei had never been so obedient to his father since he was a child. But he was so nice to Lu Yen. Everyone thought he had been brainwashed. This time, Lu Yen really didn't do the right thing. She asked for the tiger bone wine in front of so many people, which made the whole Chow family object. There were even some elders who directly said that the third young master was not suitable for the position of successor. He did not have the demeanor of a king. Of course, Chow Nan was most willing to listen to these words. He was determined to become the clan leader. However, old Master Chow was biased towards his third son. This was obvious to all. It was said that Chow Fei resembled the late Madame Chow the most. Although the old man was pregnant with a confidant, he still missed his late wife. Therefore, when facing her youngest son, it was inevitable that she would feel some pity for him. "Okay, you all can go back. Don't mention this again." Finally, old Master Chow waved his hand and dismissed everyone. On the way back, Lu Yen was supported by Chow Fei. After a few steps, she began to find fault with him. "The ground in Russia is too uneven. My feet hurt, that's why I'm carrying you." Chow Fei smiled gently. "No, it's too bumpy to carry. You should carry me." Come here and squat down, Lu Yan pointed at the ground and ordered domineeringly. Chapter 4788. Xiao Fei sighed slightly. He never knew what to do with her. She knew that the moment they stepped out of the door, those old men would definitely say bad things about her. But she was still so brazen, as if she was deliberately going against them. But Xiao Fei doted on her. Xiao Fei walked up to Lu Yan and squatted down. Lu Yan jumped forward and lay on Xiao Fei's back. Then, he carried her on his back. Your Majesty, sit tight. Lu Yan smiled brightly. Lying on Xiao Fei's broad back, she fell asleep. Perhaps only by Xiao Fei's side could Lu Yan sleep soundly and peacefully. Perhaps no one knew how many years she hadn't slept well. When she had just left her father when she was young, she had to sleep under the bed to avoid being hunted. At that time, because she was too young, she was often targeted by human traffickers and perverted pedophiles. In other words, other than the people who wanted to kidnap and kill her, Lu Yan also had to avoid the darkest group of people in the world. She had never told anyone about her childhood. Her life wasn't easy. Because she knew that this was her life. No matter how difficult it was, she still made it through. Later, when she established the mercenary group, some of Lu Yan's subordinates who knew her well often felt sorry for their boss. She was a light sleeper. As long as there was the slightest movement in the room, she would immediately wake up and enter combat mode. She had a habit now. No matter if she was taking a nap or sleeping late, she had to pull out her gun as soon as she woke up. It was she who forced herself to enter combat mode all the time. Perhaps it was because of this that she was able to live until now unscathed. Many people said that a woman like Lu Yan was no longer a human but a god. She almost never made mistakes and never lost. All the people who wanted to kill her were dead, and she was the only one who was still alive. In fact, Lu Yan knew that she wasn't a god. She was just flesh and blood. Just like any other ordinary girl, she knew how to act coquettishly, how to be unreasonable, and how to cause trouble on purpose. But she would only do this to Xiao Fei. In other people's eyes, Lu Yan was always high and mighty, but in Xiao Fei's eyes, Lu Yan was a very childish and domineering little girl. Xiao Fei carried Lu Yan on his back and walked 3 kilometers. 3 kilometers wasn't a long distance. Lu Yan wasn't heavy, but she had to pass through the headquarters of the Qiao family. Xiao Fei's doting only proved how good he was to Lu Yan. That was something that many women could only dream of. Back to the manor, the housekeeper hurried over to take Lu Yan from Xiao Fei. Xiao Fei made a shushing gesture. Obviously, he didn't want her to wake up. Xiao Fei carried her all the way to the bedroom, not the guest room, but his own bedroom. He had planned to put her down and sleep on the bed. But just as he was about to put it down, Xiao Fei hesitated. He knew that Lu Yan was a light sleeper, more so than anyone else. If he put her down, she would wake up immediately. In the end, Xiao Fei decided to carry her on his back. If he couldn't walk, then he wouldn't. He would carry her on his back, quietly, and not put her down. Lu Yan slept for 1 hour and 15 minutes. For ordinary people, it was a normal afternoon nap. But for Lu Yan, she hadn't felt so good in 2 or 3 months. She fell asleep defenselessly because she knew that even if the sky fell, Xiao Fei would hold it up for her. She even had a very beautiful dream. Chapter 4789. She dreamed that her mother came back to life in a cave in Iceland and that her father was no longer hiding. She dreamed that she met her sister and the 4 of them sat in a cozy house, eating lunch and chatting happily. When Lu Yan woke up from her dream, she could still smell the scent of her sweet dream. She greedily inhaled Xiao Fei's unique masculine scent. Then, she entered the zone in 1 second. Psycho Xiao, how long did I sleep? 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 28 seconds, Xiao Fei said as he looked at his watch. I haven't felt so good in a long time. Lu Yan lazily got off Xiao Fei's back and stretched. I can make you feel even better. Do you want to try it? Xiao Fei turned around and looked at her. It's the middle of the day and you're talking about something that's not suitable for children. Is it okay? You must have misunderstood something. I meant to massage your shoulders. Xiao Fei stood up and walked behind Lu Yan, placing his big hands on her shoulders. Stop it. Do you think I don't know what you're doing? Lu Yan chuckled. Qin Chu had used this trick on Huamin many times, and Huamin would blush every time. But Lu Yan was different. When she was shameless, even she was scared of herself, let alone Xiao Fei. Yan, it seems like you're going to take the tiger bone wine, right? Xiao Fei asked as he massaged Lu Yan's shoulders. He didn't want to mention it so early in the morning, but he knew it wasn't a joke when he said it in front of so many people. No one could stop Lu Yan from doing whatever she wanted, not even him. He knew her too well and knew that Lu Yan wouldn't return empty-handed from Russia. Yeah, Lu Yan answered nonchalantly with her eyes closed, still enjoying Xiao Fei's massage. Is that guy from the Bai family that important to you? Sure enough, Xiao Fei was still jealous. Lu Yan laughed. You don't look good when you're jealous. You're not handsome anymore. Humph. Xiao Fei looked away. Lu Yan raised her hand and placed it on Xiao Fei's hand on her left shoulder. Xiao Fei paused. Fei, you know me best. You know me better than my father. So, I think you might understand what I'm saying. That kid from the Bai family doesn't have much of a relationship with me. I just went to assassinate him with a mission. In the end, there was a small accident. Bai Shang made me feel that his life in this world is more difficult than mine. So, I just want to speak up for him. It's just like how I once risked the risk of being infected and saved a group of unrelated children in Africa who had the plague. Lu Yan's explanation was very thoughtful. Xiao Fei could understand her. Lu Yan didn't care about the identity of the person she wanted to save, nor did she care about their relationship. Just for a moment, if it could arouse her compassion, she would lend a helping hand. To put it bluntly, Lu Yan saved people randomly based on her mood. However, she was not fickle. As long as she made a promise, she would fulfill it. Therefore, when she agreed to speak up for Bai Chang, she would definitely do it. Even if it meant risking her life, she would still obtain the tiger bone wine. This was her personality. If one day, you could measure Lu Yan with the morals and actions of an ordinary person, perhaps she wouldn't be the real Lu Yan. Hey, I've explained it so sincerely. Are you still going to be jealous? Don't be jealous. It's so sour. Lu Yan began to act coquettishly. Xiao Fei sighed slightly. He raised his hand and stroked her long hair lovingly. You want the tiger bone wine? I'll get it for you. Chapter 4790. Although she knew that Xiao Fei would definitely help her, hearing him say it personally, Lu Yan felt warm in her heart. She didn't forget to tease him, Don't you think this is a typical case of forgetting your father after marrying your wife? It's really nice of you to help me trick your father. Xiao Fei, I'll stop teasing you. If I continue, you'll kick me out. Lu Yan laughed. Then, in a flash, she got off the bed. Her movements were extremely clean. She turned on her watch and gave instructions to her subordinates. She didn't want to stay in Russia for too long, so it was inevitable that she would rely on Chow Fei to get the tiger bone wine. In Lu Yan's heart, Chow Fei was one of her people, so there was no need to be polite. At 9 p.m. that night, Chow Fei went to the secret room where the tiger bone wine was stored alone. Perhaps because Lu Yan had specifically said that she wanted the wine during the day, the old man of the Chow family was on guard. At night, Chow Fei found that there were twice as many guards as usual. He was so smart, so how could he not know what was going on? Third young master. Hello, third young master. The guards of the Chow family in the secret room all greeted the young master respectfully. Has my father been here? Chow Fei asked knowingly. The leader of the guards hurriedly nodded. The family head came in the afternoon and told us to guard it strictly. Did my father also say that even if I came, I couldn't open the door? Chow Fei asked him. The man was obviously a little embarrassed. He lowered his head and didn't say anything. It's okay. You've been in the Chow family for many years and are also my elder. I definitely won't make things difficult for you, or go against my father's orders. Thank you, young master, for your understanding. The white-haired leader of the guards looked at Chow Fei gratefully. Chow Fei knew that his father must have already told him, so even if he insisted on opening the door, his father would be alerted. It's okay. Continue with your work. I'm just here to take a look. I'll leave soon. Then, Chow Fei turned around and left without even approaching the door of the secret room. As soon as Chow Fei left, everyone let out a sigh of relief. Boss, did third young master give up on taking the wine? It's great that we don't have to fight with him. Otherwise, we'll really be in a difficult position. If we let third young master take away the tiger bone wine, the clan leader will definitely be furious. If we don't give third young master the wine, with his skills, he'll definitely tangle with us. At that time, if we hurt him, the clan leader's heart will ache and he'll still want to teach us a lesson. If we don't hurt him, he'll definitely not give up and continue to fight with us. Just thinking about it is scary. The guard leader didn't say anything. To be honest, he was also afraid of such a situation. Fortunately, Chow Fei was more sensible. He did not force his way in or snatch the wine. Instead, he left. However, he was still vaguely worried that things weren't that simple. The third young master was easy to talk to, but what about Lu Yan? The whole world knew that this woman was not to be trifled with. At this thought, the leader of the guards reminded them, although third young master is gone, we still need to be on guard against Lu Yan. Yes, boss. There were more than 30 elite guards guarding this place. At this time, not even a fly could fly in, let alone a living person. However, even such a tight defense was easily broken by Lu Yan. Lu Yan didn't go in herself. Instead, she used a computer to remotely control the surveillance system of the secret room. From the moment Chow Fei went in, the surveillance system was hacked. Therefore, the people on the surveillance system couldn't see Chow Fei going into the secret room. Then, Lu Yan put a kind of ecstasy on Chow Fei's body. It was a kind of drug that caused a reaction. It wouldn't make people faint immediately. However, 10 minutes after Chow Fei left, all 30 people fainted on the ground. After this group of people fainted, Chow Fei turned back and gave Lu Yan an OK sign on the surveillance screen. Chapter 4791. Lu Yan smiled slightly. She knew it would be easy and wouldn't hurt anyone. Then, Chow Fei walked to the door of the secret room. It was a device that recorded his father's fingerprints and retina. Fortunately, Lu Yan had great magical powers and managed to deceive the system by making a copy out of it. The main reason was that she hacked the system and messed it up, making it less sensitive. Just like that, Xiao Fei entered the secret room. Xiao Fei had been to the secret room before. After entering, he found the place where the wine was stored. The wine was stored in barrels made of special materials, and all the wine was in one barrel. Xiao Fei's father was afraid that someone would steal the wine, so he installed an alarm under the barrel. If someone touched the tiger bone wine and the weight changed, the alarm would go off immediately. This was a piece of cake for Lu Yan. She used a sophisticated device to analyze the weight of a glass of wine. Then, she installed the device under the barrel with a material of the same density without attracting attention. Xiao Fei installed the material bit by bit as he took out the wine. In the end, it was the best of both worlds. The whole process took less than 8 minutes. The guards who fainted would wake up in 10 minutes and forget what had just happened. Inside Xiao Fei's private manor, Xiao Fei walked in with a glass of wine. Lu Yan pounced on him like a wolf cub. "Baby, thank you for your hard work." "Mwah." Xiao Fei pouted. "Don't give me that. I want meat." "Meat? Sure. Do you want pork ribs or pork trotters? I'll make you a stew tonight. I'll make 18 dishes for you. You can have a Manchu Han Imperial feast." Lu Yan played dumb. "I don't want a Manchu Han Imperial feast. I just want one dish." "What?" Lu Yan continued to play dumb. "Lu Yan with mustard." "Ha ha ha. I can eat Lu Yan, but not mustard. It's too spicy." Lu Yan laughed wildly. "Then hurry up and wash it for me." "No problem. After I finish this, I don't believe you. You've stood me up for years. You've been lying to me since you were 18. You're 20 now. Give me the wine first. I want to pack it and leave Russia immediately. Otherwise, your dad will kill me if he finds out I stole the wine." Lu Yan stopped flirting with Xiao Fei. She snatched the precious tiger bone wine from Xiao Fei's hand. Then, he hurriedly sealed it in a small container. "Yan," Xiao Fei called out to Lu Yan's busy figure. "Ah. Can you not personally deliver it to that brat from the Bai clan? I don't want you two to meet." Xiao Fei knew that Lu Yan wouldn't be interested in someone of Bai Shang's level, and there wouldn't be anything between them. But Xiao Fei knew Lu Yan's charm. Bai Shang must like her very much. Even if it was a one-sided love, he didn't want his personal belongings to be peeked at. So, for the first time, he made a request to Lu Yan. He had never interfered before. To be honest, everyone knew Lu Yan's willfulness. She didn't even listen to Professor Lu, let alone him. Therefore, when Xiao Fei said this, he was actually uncertain. He might be rejected by Lu Yan in the next second, but to his surprise, Lu Yan put down the wine in her hand and turned around. She slowly walked towards Xiao Fei and put her arms around his neck. She gave him a light peck at the corner of his mouth. I'll have someone send it over. I won't see him." Xiao Fei was ecstatic to hear this. "Are you super happy?" Lu Yan asked him. Xiao Fei nodded. "There's something even happier. Do you want to try it?" Lu Yan smirked. Yes, yes, yes." Xiao Fei didn't care about etiquette anymore. Chapter 4792. Lu Yan smiled slightly. "You're so nice to me. I plan to take you on a trip." "That's it." Xiao Fei's face darkened. "What? You don't like it? Forget it. I'll go by myself." "Okay, I'll go wherever you go." Afraid that the little princess would be angry, Xiao Fei immediately gave in. "Then hurry up and pack your things. We'll leave soon. Okay. It was late at night. Lu Yan and Xiao Fei took over the Qiao family's secret guards, hacked into the surveillance cameras, and left through the back door. After a 30-minute car ride, they left on Lu Yan's private jet. When Xiao Fei's father found out that his son was kidnapped, it was already an hour after the plane took off. Family head, the third young master is missing. What do you mean he's missing? Old Qiao was furious. He's not in the private manor. Miss Lu and her subordinates are also missing. Xiao Fei's father's first reaction was that the wine had gone missing. He immediately got up and went to the secret room. He asked the guards and they all said that no one had been there. Old Qiao still didn't believe it. He opened the password lock and checked the weight of the wine. It hadn't changed at all. He felt that something was wrong. Did the girl give up so easily? Xiao Fei's father muttered to himself. He still couldn't figure out what went wrong. He had watched Lu Yan grow up over the years and knew a little about her. That child had always been someone who wouldn't give up until she reached her goal. Why did she leave so willingly this time? And it was in the middle of the night. Although his son was kidnapped, it wasn't something he could handle. Xiao Fei often went out with Lu Yan. Thinking about it, he couldn't figure out what went wrong. Old Xiao left with a heavy heart. On the private jet, Lu Yan leaned against Xiao Fei's chest and fell asleep. Xiao Fei hugged his sweetheart contentedly and slept soundly. 4 hours later, at 2 a.m., the plane was about to land in China. "Boss, we're almost there," Lai whispered in Lu Yan's ear. Lu Yan opened her eyes and entered the zone. "After we get off the plane, take the wine with Jinju and tell Bai Shang that I gave it to her. If we both leave, what about you, boss?" Lai was worried about Lu Yan's safety. "I'll be fine." Thinking that Xiao Fei was here, Lai nodded and felt relieved. "Then, boss, you and young Master Qiao should be careful and keep in touch." "Yeah. Do you remember how to break the Big Dipper array?" Lu Yan asked lazily without looking up. This subordinate remembers. Don't make any mistakes. If you lose the wine, you can go back to the headquarters and go into seclusion. Don't come out anymore. Boss, don't worry. I'll definitely do it well. Lai thought to himself. Boss's threat was too damn serious. Lu Yan had 60 elites under her command, but only 10 of them were on missions all over the world. 8 of them were in different countries, and Duke Aeljin was chosen by Lu Yan to follow her. Although the risk factor was high, the life there was good food and drink. It was the life of an immortal. Lai liked to follow boss around like this. If he went back to the headquarters and stayed on that small island, he would probably be depressed in less than a month. Therefore, no matter what, he had to do a good job with boss. After the plane landed, the 4 of them separated. He had contacted someone in advance to prepare 2 cars. One was an inconspicuous black Jeep for Lai and Jinju. It was a fancy red Porsche sports car driven by Lu Yan. In Sea City, Lu Yan drove the Porsche sports car and drove Xiao Fei through the night in the city. "Fei, do you want to see what Siyu looks like?" Lu Yan asked. "Siyu? The guy who knows Sister Mian is married but still won't let her go," Xiao Fei asked calmly. Chapter 4793. Lu Yan nodded and turned up the music in the car. "Why should we look at him? Shouldn't we look at my brother-in-law?" Xiao Fei knew all of Lu Yan's secrets. He knew she had a sister who lived like an ordinary person and was proficient in medicine. He knew she had a loving husband and lived a happy life. "I've investigated Qin Chu thoroughly. Boring. But I'm interested in Suyu. Lu Yen smirked. Sure, but don't get into trouble. Xiao Fei wasn't afraid Lu Yen would look at other men, but he was afraid she'd get into trouble. After all, they were in China, and because of Sister Mian, they would come here often. It would be bad if she made a big scene. Okay, I promise. I won't get into trouble. Lu Yen was in a good mood. Every time she came to this city, she felt she was only one step away from her sister. Although they couldn't meet or acknowledge each other, she was satisfied to be in the same city as her sister. Seductive Fox Suyu didn't drink with Wei Liao and Tang Chuan, which was rare. Instead, he drank with a group of rich second-generation heirs. Suyu was a super rich man, but he couldn't be considered a second-generation heir because he was richer than his father. Therefore, Suyu was a real rich man who could live a prosperous life without his father's help. Lu Yen and Xiao Fei walked in and sat down in a booth in the hall, looking at the sexy girl in skimpy clothes in the middle of the dance floor. Lu Yen teased Xiao Fei. Who has a better body, me or her? Do you want to tell me the truth? Xiao Fei asked. Of course. She has a better body, do you want to die? The next second, Lu Yen pressed a dagger against Xiao Fei's waist. Weren't they on the same side? Why did this guy say the girl on the dance floor had a better body without hesitation? Lu Yen had a superb body, except for some scratches on her skin, she was exquisite. You asked me to tell you the truth, and now you're like this. Xiao Fei looked wronged. How dare you? Ask yourself. Are you telling the truth? No matter what, I'm still 16 years old and I weigh less than 100 pounds. You didn't even think about it and you said that I have a good figure. Are you deliberately slandering me? No, I'm telling the truth. That girl was in the middle of the stage, and the lights were shining brightly on her. I can see her clearly. You're always wearing a windbreaker, no matter if it's winter or summer. You wrap yourself up like a dumpling. How am I supposed to see your figure? Why don't we get a room now, and you take it off so I can take a closer look? Fuck you. Lu Yen finally realized that Xiao Fei was the one who had set her up. He almost jumped. It wouldn't be easy for him to force Lu Yen to take off her clothes with this provocation. Xiao Fei was risking his life. Psycho Xiao, let me tell you, if you say that. I'll take off my clothes right now, go on stage, and dance. Do you believe that I'll get more applause than that woman? Xiao Fei's face darkened. Don't be so stubborn. Can you stop? What did you promise me before we came? Don't cause trouble. Hee hee. I know. But we can't see Suyu from here. He's in the private room on the top floor. What do you want? Xiao Fei's eyelids twitched, and he had a bad feeling. Sure enough, the next second, Lu Yen took off her jacket and put on the waiter's uniform she had gotten from somewhere. Give me a second, I'm going to deliver some wine to Su Yu's private room. With that, she disappeared in a flash. Xiao Fei. Chapter 4794. A long time later, at the grand wedding of Huamin and Qin Chu. Qin Guogua, who was 5 years old, asked Xiao Fei a question. Uncle, why do you have white hair? It's so cool, Xiao Fei answered seriously, it's all because of your auntie. So, you must remember that when you grow up and get married, don't marry someone who will make you worry. Xiao Fei's words made the twins burst into laughter. Xiao Fei's silver hair became the biggest black mark against Lu Yen. Lu Yen disappeared in a flash. It was no wonder she had so many tricks up her sleeve. She had thousands of ways to see Suyu. Feeling depressed, Xiao Fei leaned against the booth and continued playing games on his cell phone. He liked peace and quiet and wasn't interested in drunken debauchery, shaking their heads, or heavy metal. In a luxurious private room on the top floor, Suyu was in a bad mood. Wearing a white Versace short-sleeved shirt, he leaned against the sofa in the center seat. One of his hands covered half of his face. No one knew if he was drunk or if he was thinking about something. Lu Yan tied up her hair and changed into a waiter's uniform. Then, she followed a few waiters into the room. "Young Master Han, here's the wine you ordered," the waiter said. The man waved his hand. "Send the red wine to Lord Su. Leave the rest here." "Yes." The waiter looked back at Lu Yan. "Why are you still standing there? Send your wine to Lord Su." "I'm new here. I don't know who Lord Su is," Lu Yan said weakly. The rich kids around them laughed. "Little girl, look. The one with the best looks and the most charismatic is him." Lu Yan pretended to look around. In fact, she had seen Suyu's photos. She even found some secret photos of Suyu when he was a soldier on her computer. So, she knew who Suyu was. She said that on purpose as a prank. Then, Lu Yan walked up to Suyu with the red wine in her hand. "Lord Su, your wine." "Well, put it here." Suyu didn't even look at her. "All right, do you need me to open it for you?" Suyu replied in a muffled voice. Lowering her head, Lu Yan opened a bottle of wine and glanced at the cell phone in Suyu's hand. From time to time, he would turn it on, look at the desktop, and then turn it off. People who didn't know better might think that he was looking at the time to see what time it was. However, Lu Yan noticed that Suyu's screensaver was her sister's photo. Although it was just a glance, it was definitely his elder sister. Lu Yan had a deep impression of Huomin's face. She had even dreamed of him many times. Lu Yan had almost all of Huomin's photos. She had saved thousands of them, from when he was a child to when he was an adult. But Lu Yan had never seen this picture before. The sister in the photo was wearing a white lab coat and a pair of black-rimmed glasses. She was dressed very old-fashioned and rustic, but when paired with that extremely delicate face, the entire atmosphere of the photo changed. She could even vaguely see Huomin's natural aura. This photo was probably taken by Suyu in secret. It wasn't very clear, but the angle was good. It seemed that the rumors about Suyu being infatuated with her sister were true. After opening a bottle of wine for Suyu, Lu Yan stood up and walked out. "Hey! Little girl, did you just get here?" A man stopped her. "Yeah." Lu Yan nodded. "Are you still a virgin?" the man asked in disgust. The other men around him all laughed. These rich second-generation heirs loved to play pranks and humiliate others. Other waiters wouldn't dare to say anything, but Lu Yan smiled slightly and asked him back, "Are you still a virgin?" Chapter 4795. She thought her words would piss off the thug. But to her surprise, the guy was even more shameless as he winked at Lu Yan. "Since you're so curious about your brother, why don't we find a quiet place and I'll let you test me?" Only this shameless wastrel would say such lewd words. Lu Yan's smile grew brighter. "Sure. Whoa, this new chick has guts." She dared to piss off young Master Liang. Yeah, young Master Liang has met his match. Young Master Liang had a bad reputation in the circle. Just because his family was rich, he played with all kinds of women. Moreover, his table manners were terrible. He never spent money on women and sometimes even blackmailed women. He was shameless to the core. As for why he showed up at this dinner party, it was because of his cousin. This guy's cousin was Su Yu's good friend. His friend saw that Su Yu was in a bad mood recently, so he invited him to a dinner party. He didn't expect his cousin to be so drunk and not care about his image. Young Master Liang was about to take Lu Yan away. Just then, Su Yu said, "Don't eat too badly." Su Yu's words silenced everyone. Lu Yan also turned around and narrowed her eyes, sizing him up with interest. "Lord Su." Young Master Liang sobered up a lot. "Follow the rules wherever you go. The owner of Seductive Fox is my friend. Don't cause trouble here. Go find women outside, and don't touch the waiters here." These were Su Yu's exact words. He didn't want to save anyone, he just didn't want to cause trouble at Seductive Fox. After all, it was Rick's place. Although Su Yu wasn't as close to Rick as Chin Chu was, he still had to maintain his image. However, he still had to save face. Especially since he was in the police station, he didn't want to make things too ugly. Occasionally, Su Yu's words were like an imperial edict. His words scared young Master Liang so much that he didn't even dare to fart. Lu Yan left the room when she realized she couldn't finish the game. No one paid any attention to the new waiter. On the surface, Su Yu saved the waiter, but in reality, he saved the pig head. Otherwise, if he really went out with Lu Yan, he wouldn't be able to return. She saw Su Yu and played the game. Lu Yan found a corner and took off her waitress uniform. She changed into her windbreaker and went back to find Xiao Fei. Then, from afar, he saw a woman with big breasts and big buttocks who had undergone plastic surgery. She was holding a wine glass and pestering Xiao Fei. "Handsome, just one drink, I don't drink." Xiao Fei's face was cold. "I like cool girls like you. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a hostess, nor am I a shill. My father is a famous tycoon in this city, and I'm a socialite. If you become friends with me, I promise you won't lose out. Don't you understand what I'm saying? Get lost." Xiao Fei had never been interested in these vulgar women. He would feel disgusted if he said more than a few words. "Don't be mad, handsome. I really like your type." The woman didn't seem to give up and wanted to pester him to the end. At this moment, Lu Yan walked over and patted the woman's shoulder. "Hey, big-breasted girl, do you know my husband?" "Your husband?" The woman looked puzzled. "Yeah, he's my sugar daddy. If you like him, you can, but I have to have money first." Lu Yan smirked. Xiao Fei's eyelids twitched, knowing it was over. She was addicted to the game again. "If I have more money than you, your husband will give me a game, right?" The woman looked down on Lu Yan because she didn't have any branded clothes on her. She thought Lu Yan might be a delinquent girl. "Sure, but if you lose, you'll have to take off your clothes and dance in the middle of the stage. You'll have to shout, 'I'm a bitch,' 3 times. Lu Yan crossed her arms and smiled. She knew the consequences of flirting with her man wouldn't be pleasant. Chapter 4796. Hearing Lu Yan's arrogant words, the woman was infuriated. "Bitch, how dare you challenge me? Tell me, how do you want to compete? I'll play with you until you're satisfied." Their voices grew louder and louder as more and more people came to watch. In the end, even the hot dancers on the stage got off the stage. Everyone crowded around the 2 women. Lu Yan didn't show her real face, she disguised herself to hide her stunning face. Xiao Fei, on the other hand, didn't disguise himself, so his face was stunning. No wonder strange women came to fight over him. She didn't get any fun from Su Yu, but she got some fun from her man. Lu Yan's heart was jumping with excitement. "Let's buy some alcohol. Those who can't afford it lose." No problem, the woman agreed immediately, not knowing that she had jumped into Lu Yan's trap. Lu Yan made a few calls. Waiter, do you have whiskey? Yes, ma'am. One for each person. The moment Lu Yan finished speaking, the crowd went wild. Whiskey usually cost more than 3,000 yuan a bottle at a place like Seductive Fox. At this time, there were at least 1,000 customers. In other words, Lu Yan spent 3 million yuan with just one sentence. The woman was a bit dumbfounded. She thought Lu Yan would start with Budweiser. She didn't expect Lu Yan to spend 3 million yuan so quickly. If she wanted to be better than Lu Yan, she had to buy something more expensive. The big-ass woman shook her body and yelled, "Royal salute, one for each person. It's my treat." Instantly, the crowd went wild again with even louder cheers. The royal salute cost 6,000 yuan a bottle, which was double the price of Lu Yan's, which was 6 million yuan. Lu Yan shook her head, thinking that her opponent was too weak. Qiao Fei secretly tugged on Lu Yan's sleeve. "Stop playing. It's time to go." "How can I do that? If I lose, you have to give it to someone else. Think about it." Lu Yan rolled her eyes. Qiao Fei, he couldn't do anything about his woman's stubbornness. He didn't want to hit her or scold her, and she wouldn't listen to him. Qiao Fei looked helpless. If another person dared to do this, he'd be a corpse by now. Lu Yan didn't want to waste any more time with her and went straight to the point. "Waiter, how many years of Lafite do you have here? The 1982 model is currently in stock." "Okay, one bottle for each of you," Lu Yan said calmly. Then, the whole room exploded. "Really? No way. This woman must be crazy. 82 Lafite, oh my god. I can't believe it, she's definitely super rich. She's Su Yu's sister. Oh my god. She's burning money." The waiter was a little confused when he heard that. After a while, he came back to his senses and said, "Ma'am, that's a lot of Lafite. We don't have any stock, it's okay. You can ask your boss to make up for it later. I'll open it first. I'll pay later." "Ma'am, the 1982 Lafite here sells for more than 80,000 yuan a bottle. Are you really going to give everyone a bottle?" The waiter felt that his heart was about to jump out. Lu Yan nodded slightly and smiled. 80,000 a bottle, for 1,000 people, 80 million, yes, that's right, 80 million. This was probably the biggest order Rick had ever received since he opened his business. The big-ass woman across from her was dumbfounded. Then, to save her face, she yelled at Lu Yan in disdain, "Are you planning to clean the bar for the rest of your life to pay off your debt if you can't pay the bill? Do you think someone as poor as you can afford 80 million yuan? I don't believe you. You're just bluffing." "Wrong. Did your PE teacher teach you math in elementary school? 80 million yuan plus the 3 million yuan just now. Fat woman, it's your turn." Lu Yan smiled provocatively. Chapter 4797. Hearing Lu Yan's provocation, the fat woman couldn't continue bidding. She wasn't from a wealthy family and could afford drinks that cost a few million yuan. But even if she could afford to treat a stranger to drinks that cost 80 million yuan, she wouldn't do it willingly. Besides, 80 million yuan wasn't a small amount for this woman. She didn't have that much liquid capital. Her husband, who was only in name, still had a real estate company and relied on bank loans to survive. But if she admitted defeat in front of so many people, she would lose face. So, she said this. "You brat. If you pay the bill with that much money, I'll lose. Don't make empty promises. I despise fake rich people like you." Fake rich people? Me? Lu Yan smiled even more happily. Xiao Fei lowered his head even more. Those who called Lu Yan a fake rich person were probably idiots. Who was Lu Yan? She was a famous rich woman. Seeing her was like seeing a gold mine. Waiter, send me your bank account number. I'll transfer the money now. Okay, Am. The waiter wrote down Rick's bank account number on a small piece of paper. Lu Yan glanced at it and made a call. Transfer 83 million yuan to this account. 20 seconds later, the waiter received the order from the walkie-talkie. Then, he said to the guests, the boss just called and said he received the money for the drinks from this lady. Hearing this, the whole room exploded again. So much money for the drinks, he really paid for it. The woman with a big butt opposite her was dumbfounded. She didn't expect this ordinary-looking little girl in front of her to take out so much money. Fat woman. You lose. Take off your clothes and go on the dance floor. You have to look good from the back. Lu Yan smiled with a toothpick in her mouth. You cheated. You must have colluded with the boss. I don't accept this. Then, the fat woman turned to run away. How could she take off her clothes and go on the dance floor? After all, if she was photographed, how could she survive in the entertainment industry? But before she could take a few steps, Lu Yan threw out an iron hook and caught her silver dress. Then, Lu Yan pulled hard, and the dress opened from top to bottom with a tearing sound. The woman stood in the crowd in her skimpy clothes and felt ashamed. She squatted down and covered her face. I don't like people who don't keep their promises. Either you fulfill your promise and go on the dance floor, or you take out 84 million yuan and we'll continue the bet. Bodyguards. Where are my bodyguards? Kill this little bitch. Furious, the woman sent her bodyguards to beat Lu Yan. Before the two bodyguards could get close to Lu Yan's, and Lu Yan sits a matter of course, the bar managers the bar managers managers. Lu's a woman, Lu's Lu Yan didn't push her too far. After she got onto the stage, Lu Yan shook her head and pulled Xiao Fei away. You still want to drink? Look at the time. I'm sleepy. I want to sleep. Xiao Fei threw a tantrum. Okay. Mr. Xiao, let's go to bed. Lu Yan coaxed Xiao Fei, in a good mood. After leaving the bar, they got into the sports car. Did you see Suyu? What kind of person is he? Xiao Fei was curious. Chapter 4798. Lu Yan closed her eyes and recalled carefully. How should I put it? He's not as hot-tempered as the rumors say. He doesn't seem to be in a good mood, but he really likes my sister. How did you find out so much in such a short time? Xiao Fei was puzzled. Then you see, who am I? I observe the details. Okay, ancestor, you're the best. Drive, I want to sleep. Sleep together. Lu Yan always lied to Xiao Fei that he could eat meat, but all these years had passed. At most, Xiao Fei could drink a few mouthfuls of soup. Lu Yan was the type to enjoy life. With a fake passport, she booked a presidential suite in a 5-star hotel with Xiao Fei. There were many small rooms inside, but Xiao Fei squeezed in with her. Lu Yan pushed him to take a shower with a smile. However, when Xiao Fei came out of the shower, he looked at the bed and saw that Lu Yan was already asleep. He was so angry that he almost stomped his feet. Lu Yan was also tired. As soon as she got off the plane, she went out to cause trouble. She pretended to be a waiter and drank alcohol. She was really exhausted. As long as Xiao Fei was by her side, she could sleep well. Xiao Fei took off his bathrobe, revealing his smooth abs. He lay beside Lu Yan and quietly looked at her for a while. Then, he hugged her and fell asleep, at the Hades mountain. Lai and Jinju ran all the way, not daring to rest. They knew the importance of the things in their hands. In the middle of the night, they broke through the array and went up the mountain. They thought that young Master Bai was already asleep. Unexpectedly, he was wearing a white cloak and waiting by the window. Who is it? Bai Shang's bodyguards were vigilant. Tell your master that our boss is here to deliver wine. Why would he deliver wine in the middle of the night? You even broke the needle. You have evil intentions, cut the crap. Tell Bai Shang to come out. We're here to deliver the goods. We don't want to start a massacre. Lai was too lazy to talk nonsense with these useless people. Just as the group was about to attack, Bai Shang walked out. Young master. Bai Shang waved his hand and signaled for them to leave. Young Master Bai, we're Mr. Lu's subordinates, Lai introduced himself. Bai Chang looked at them with disappointment in his eyes. Lu Yan didn't come. He thought that she would deliver the medicine herself. Lai carefully took out the sealed it. This is my boss's idea. Please take it on time, young Master Bai. Bai Chang walked over and took the item with trembling hands. He knew what it was, more than anyone else. When he was very young, his father had offered a large sum of money to buy it. Who knew that the Chow family would not trade it for money? Over the years, his father had tried many methods, but to no avail. The only thing in the world that could cure his red fairy's poison was the tiger bone wine. Since young Master Bai has already received it, we will take our leave. Lai said as he turned around. Bai Chang made a sign, but Lai and Jin Ju didn't understand sign language. Fortunately, Cripple translated for him. Our young master said, "Thank you very much. It's my duty. Goodbye." Lai and Jin Ju then quickly disappeared into the night. Bai Chang lowered his head and looked at the small bottle. Young master, we don't even know if this thing is real or fake. Why don't we try it first? Cripple was still worried. After all, Lu Yan didn't seem reliable. However, Bai Chang replied in sign language, "If she wanted to kill me, I would have died long ago." After speaking, Bai Chang directly opened the lid and drank the liquid in the small container in one gulp. The tiger bone wine burned through his throat as if it was going to burn his entire body. For a full day and night, Bai Chang had a fever for a full day and night. The next night, when Cripple was about to go down the mountain to find a doctor, Bai Chang suddenly spoke. He only said 2 words, Lu Yan. Chapter 4799. Rather than saying that Lu Yan was in a good mood and liked this place, it was more like she liked her sister. Although they hadn't acknowledged each other, she still didn't want to leave. When Lai and Jin Ju returned, Lu Yan received a text message. She knew it was Bai Chang who added 1 billion yuan to her account. She wondered what his voice sounded like after he learned how to speak. While eating breakfast, Lu Yan was still in a daze. Boss. Yeah. Lu Yan snapped back to reality. Are we still going to Hong Kong? The Liuhe gang is about to hold an election. Shouldn't you use your informant there? Lai reminded her. Don't worry. It's just a small gang. Even if I become the boss, I can't do anything. Lu Yan sipped her oatmeal milk. Boss, we've been here for almost 3 days. We should go somewhere else. Otherwise, your whereabouts will be exposed soon, Jin Ju reminded her. Yeah. We'll leave tonight. Xiao Fei didn't say anything. He didn't want to interfere with Lu Yan's business. Oh, Fei, I'll show you a photo. Lu Yan thought of something and, on a whim, opened the virtual video on her watch before she finished her breakfast. Seeing that their boss wanted to talk about family matters, the two subordinates left. Xiao Fei glanced at it and saw it was another photo of Mian's sister. In the past few years, Lu Yan would show Xiao Fei every time she got a new photo. So, just like Lu Yan, Xiao Fei had seen all of Huomin's photos. But he had never seen this one before. It was new. Did you take it secretly? He asked Lu Yan. Lu Yan shook her head. Then, did you get it from the surveillance cameras? Xiao Fei asked again. Lu Yan shook her head with a smile. You didn't ask my brother-in-law for it, did you? No, no. Let me tell you. I hacked into Su Yu's phone system and stole it. Ha ha ha, Xiao Fei, really? Xiao Fei was exasperated. When I saw this photo that night, I thought my sister was prettier. So, I hacked into Su Yu's phone system and copied the screensaver. This is Su Yu's screensaver. Xiao Fei was surprised. Lu Yan nodded. Then he's really infatuated with Sister Mian. At this time, Su Yu already knew that Huomin was a married woman, so no matter how deep his love was, he buried it in his heart. For someone like Su Yu to use this photo as a screensaver, he must be very happy. Xiao Fei suddenly remembered that 2 years ago, at Lu Yan's 18th coming-of-age ceremony, she was hunted down. Therefore, Lu Yan stayed low-key in her base, which was the island that couldn't be found on the map. At that time, only he and Professor Lu were present. Seeing Lu Yan put on the white princess gown, Xiao Fei felt like no woman in the world was as beautiful as Lu Yan. Then, he disobeyed Lu Yan's order and took photos of her. Coincidentally, it was the picture of her smiling sweetly. Later, this photo became the only proof he had whenever he missed Lu Yan. Therefore, Xiao Fei could understand Su Yu's love. However, Xiao Fei was much luckier than Su Yu. Xiao Fei and Lu Yan loved each other. On the other hand, Su Yu and Huomin loved each other. After breakfast, Lu Yan secretly went to South Side to see her sister. Even though she was far away, she was still very happy. In the afternoon, Lu Yan had a video conference in her room to organize her subordinates' whereabouts and missions. At 10 p.m. that night, Lu Yan and Xiao Fei went downstairs to get on the plane and leave. As soon as they got downstairs, they saw a man in a white suit. He was standing in the lobby. He had taken off his ancient costume and put on a modern black suit, which made his white suit look more mysterious. Hey, little mute. What a coincidence. Lu Yan walked over to greet him with a smile. Chapter 4800. She didn't notice that Xiao Fei's face was extremely cold. Fortunately, although Xiao Fei was jealous, he still knew his priorities. I'll wait for you in the car. Don't be late. After saying this, Xiao Fei and Li left first. Lu Yan was still wearing the exquisite black windbreaker and black boots. Her black hair fell to her waist, completely different from the day when Bai Chang saw her in the rain. This was the smart and capable Lu Yan. Bai Chang only had the cripple and 3 or 4 bodyguards behind him. He walked up to Lu Yan and smiled gently. Little Lu, thank you for the wine. His voice was surprisingly pleasant. It was gentle but not feminine at all. It was clean and clear without any hoarseness. Miss Lu, I'm sorry for that day. Thank you for your kindness to our young master. The cripple looked apologetic and bowed deeply to Lu Yen with the bodyguards behind him. It's okay, stupid cripple. I've always been magnanimous. Lu Yen smiled. I knew you were leaving today, so I came to see you off, Bai Chang said. Ha! You must be tired. The Hades mountain is very far from here. You came out in the middle of the night, it's not hard. Compared to what you did for me, this is nothing. Bai Chang looked at Lu Yen gently as if he was looking at his sweetheart. Lu Yen felt a little embarrassed when she heard this. Don't say that. I was paid to do this. I didn't give it to you for free. I took 2 billion yuan from you. But you and I both know that glass of wine can't be bought with 10 billion yuan, Bai Chang said. It's okay. Did you see the guy behind me? Lu Yen pointed in the direction Xiao Fei left. Bai Chang didn't say anything, that's my man. The wine is from his family. I'm just using something from my family. It's good that you can talk. Don't be so bored in the future. Go out more and get some sunshine. Okay, even though Bai Chang had a lot to say, he couldn't say anything. Let's go. If we're late, we'll be scolded. Lu Yan was still smiling. Bai Chang didn't say anything. He turned around and took a white foam box from the cripple. Just some local specialties. Please accept them as a token of my respect. How can I accept it? Lu Yan looked at the box but didn't take it. Although she liked money, she wasn't greedy for it. From her point of view, Bai Chang should have given her 2 billion even though he had drunk the wine. It could be said that the two of them had feelings for each other. There was no need to talk about favors. They weren't even friends. Take it. I feel better. Bai Chang said softly. Then, like a child, he held the box with both hands and presented it to Lu Yen. Inside the black Mercedes outside the window, Jean Ju sat in the driver's seat while Alai sat in the passenger seat. Xiao Fei sat at the back, his face cold. He kept looking at his watch, and with every passing minute, his face turned uglier. What's going on? What did that brat give boss? Who knows? However, boss healed his throat, so it's only right for him to give his entire fortune to boss. All I said. Sure enough, Lu Yen came back with a suitcase. After getting into the car, Xiao Fei immediately ordered, drive. Pervert Xiao, this is a local product that someone gave me. Here, it's for you. After getting into the car, Lu Yen immediately coaxed Xiao Fei. He came all the way here to give it to you personally. Xiao Fei said sourly. You're so jealous. Hey. Don't be jealous. Let's leave, okay? Lu Yen coaxed. Xiao Fei still ignored her. If you're still angry, I'll get out of the car. I'm going to eat steak with Bai Chang. Lu Yen pretended to get out of the car. Xiao Fei immediately panicked. How dare you? Chapter 4801. Then are you still angry? Hi, seeing Lu Yen point at his lips with her finger, Xiao Fei blushed slightly. I'm not angry. Really? Lu Yen didn't believe him. Really? Then give yourself a punch. Xiao Fei didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Why don't I kiss you instead? In your dreams, as soon as Lu Yen said that, Xiao Fei kissed her on the cheek. He did it on purpose and even got some saliva on her face. Fuck. You disgusting guy. Your face is covered in saliva. Lu Yen put down the box in her hand and punched him. The other two pretended not to know anything. Lai even laughed. How dare you laugh? Jump over here and help me punch him, Lu Yan roared. Boss, I didn't see anything. What happened just now? Lai asked with a smile. Lu Yan, they fooled around all the way and left the car behind. Someone came to take it away. Lu Yan and the others got on the private plane. Boss, where are we going now? Home. Lu Yan's home referred to her old home, the uninhabited island. Ha! We're going back so soon. Lai obviously hadn't had enough fun. Lu Yan crossed her legs and glared at him. If you don't want to go back, you can go to North Korea and get some goods for me. Ahem. Jinju is more suitable for this kind of thing. He's from North Korea. Hearing that he was going to North Korea, Lai immediately gave up. I'm not going either. Although Jinju was from North Korea, he didn't want to go back to that magical country. Only Lu Yan knew what had happened, and Jinju didn't mention his past again. Xiao Fei didn't care where he went, but he liked Lu Yan's island. He felt like it was a paradise and peaceful. 3 hours after the plane took off, Lu Yan remembered the specialties Bai Chang gave her. She picked up the phone box and tore open the tape with her bare hands. She found that the top layer was actually wild vegetables. Lu Yan didn't know the name of these wild vegetables. But soon, she found a clue and put the wild vegetables aside. Only then did he realize that the wild vegetables were just a cover. In fact, it was for the thing below. Layer by layer, the lush green mountain vegetables were pushed aside. What was wrapped in the middle was actually a painting. Wow, wow, wow. Boss, you're rich again. This must be a priceless antique. Hurry and see which dynasty it's from. Lai said excitedly. Jinju also started to gossip. It said that the Bai family has always had a lot of treasures. They are indeed a family of smugglers. Their first move is an antique. Lu Yan didn't speak, but she didn't refute her subordinate's words. After all, she had seen the priceless blue and white porcelain in Bai Chang's room. Therefore, she also thought that it was an antique painting. Perhaps it was a master-level flower like Su Dongpa or Qi Baishe. But when she unrolled the scroll, Lu Yan was dumbfounded. It was a painting of a beauty. The beauty in the painting was wearing a cheongsam, revealing a pair of long legs. It was very sexy. He was even holding an umbrella. The painting was extremely detailed. Even the specks of rain were drawn clearly. This is me? Lu Yan asked. Lai and Jinju also looked at the person in the painting, then looked at Boss. Yes, Boss. It's you. This kid actually drew me. This painting is good. Lu Yan stood up and smiled. Xiao Fei's face turned cold again. What a strong love rival. It was fine if he couldn't speak before, but now that he could, even his flirting skills had improved. Fei. Hurry up and comment. Is his painting better or am I better? Lu Yan asked excitedly after circling the painting 3 times. The painting and the person are both extremely ugly, Xiao Fei said word by word. Then, the air instantly froze. Chapter 4802. Lu Yan instantly grabbed Xiao Fei's neck with both hands. Tell me, how do you want to die? I want to die from pleasure. Xiao Fei actually said these 4 words very seriously. Lu Yan almost laughed out loud. Jinju and Lai's faces turned red, but they didn't dare to laugh out loud, afraid that their boss would skin them alive. In the end, Lu Yan laughed. Are you serious? Very serious. Humph. Just say you're jealous. You're jealous when someone drew me a beauty portrait. You're the king of jealousy. Yeah. You don't like to be jealous. Xiao Fei looked at Lu Yan. Yeah. I'm always generous. How can I be jealous? Lu Yan raised her chin. Then who spent 80 million yuan at Seductive Fox last night, to be jealous of a fat woman? Lu Yan, damn it. You're touching my sore spot. Do you believe that I'll kick you off the plane right now? Then you'll be a widow. Why would I be a widow? I'm not married to you yet. Young man, don't be so arrogant. Lu Yan reached out and pinched Xiao Fei's face. Only Lu Yan dared to do such a naughty and difficult action. If it were someone else, they would have been dead by now. So, in the eyes of Lu Yan's subordinates, even if their boss bickered with young Master Qiao, it was still a show of love. What are you two still doing here? Have you had enough dog food? Lu Yan turned around and looked at Ao Lai and Jinju. It's okay. I'm quite full. Ao Lai nodded. Do you like it? Lu Yan asked with a chuckle. It's okay. I've been with you for years and got used to it. Ao Lai thought that their boss's dog food wasn't that good, right? Lu Yan had only been in Sea City for 3 days. During these 3 days, she only went to 2 places, Southside Recuperation Center and Seductive Fox. Rick had a background in the mafia, so he wouldn't be confused if someone suddenly spent 80 million yuan on him overnight. In the Seductive Fox nightclub, Rick leaned back in his chair and watched the surveillance video. Lu Yan changed her clothes in a blind spot and couldn't see it. But Rick knew what to do with his subordinates. For now, Rick ordered. Yes, boss. Enlarge this image for me. As the image zoomed in, a girl wearing a waitress uniform appeared. Who is this person? Is she the new waitress? His subordinate was also confused. Are you sure? Rick raised his head coldly. I'm not sure. I'll get someone from the HR department to take a look. 5 minutes later, the HR department had already confirmed that this person had never been employed before, which meant that this woman had appeared out of nowhere. His appearance was very ordinary. She was also the one who had provoked the fat woman in the bar. At that time, she had already taken off her waitress uniform. Rick wasn't familiar with this face, so he couldn't find it even after checking the information. But the silver-haired man beside this woman, Rick narrowed his eyes as if he had thought of something. Xiao Fei was here. So, the woman beside him could only be Lu Yan. Thinking of this, Rick's heart gradually turned cold. Who was Lu Yan? Wherever he went, he would kill. She was the famous king of mercenaries. Was she here to kill someone? Aside from gambling, she also watched the surveillance video and went to the private room on the top floor. Did she see Suyu? Did she want to kill Suyu? At this thought, Rick was shocked again. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.